Hello everybody, and welcome to pre-show Moonbase 2 with Andy and Big D. Hello, Big D.
Hello, Andy. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. We were talking about War Machine just before we started, and I thought, well, if we're going to talk about War Machine, we may as well, get it recorded and painting. Because I tried to do some painting this week. Oh man, it's rough to try and get to doing stuff at the moment. It's hard. I did get a little bit of my Tomb King on foot painted, but it was mostly just the white bits covered up. Not a lot. And then obviously I've got my magnifying glasses, and I'm just looking through the magnifying glasses going, fuck me, what are you doing? What a tool. Look how bad this looks.
Yeah, I'm dreading when I can actually get back to painting, because it's been so long now. My skills must have really atrophied. And watching all the painting tutorials in the world can't.
Oh yeah, Duncan's just like, you just paint it like this, and you're like, fuck off, Duncan. Look at that! Look at that brushman work. Fuck you, Duncan.
Did you see his Green Knight tutorial that he put up this week?
I saw the thumbnail for it, and it's like, oh, it's the hardest model I've ever painted. I'm like, fuck off, Duncan. I bet you breezed through it.
I mean, he put off doing the fine work to the very end, which I get, but the rest of it's just like, my God, man.
Yeah, fuck off, Duncan. I bet he's a lovely lad, but I say this to everyone. I hate people with talent. I hate them. Because they make it look so easy.
What really hurts is that he mentioned how old he was when he started collecting Bretonians with 5th edition Warhammer. I was like, hang on, you were 15. Fuck, you're younger than I am, you bastard.
Yeah, Duncan's not that old, really, I don't think, is he?
No, he's in his
20.
He's in his 40s now. He's eternally baby-faced.
Yeah, I was going to say, he looks like he's like 20. He's like, oh, no, baby Duncan.
He and Peach are distressingly baby-faced.
I don't know about Peach. Peach looks like he's... Peach looks like the guy from the pub who just never left the pub.
That's a fair point, actually, yeah.
He's a geezer, is the Peach. He's a proper geezer. Well, looks-wise, I don't think he's a proper geezer in reality, I'm guessing.
Yeah, both prettier than Sugso.
Yes, true. Very true. I did also start using some it's not green stuff. What's the not green stuff called where it's white?
Milliput?
Milliput. I used some Milliput. I was slightly concerned about how long it takes Milliput to dry out. Not when you combine it together, but when you like take it out of the plastic wrapping. Does it last a while?
Generally. I mean, it's one of those things where because it's a 2-part epoxy, it doesn't really, it's stable until you mix it. It's why with like, you know how green stuff for GW stuff is normally done as a single tape?
Yeah.
The recommendation is you kind of trim the middle piece out before you mix it.
Oh, really? Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Because those two bits will have reacted slightly.
Yes.
But as a rule, I mean, green stuff, you just kind of need to really keep it in the fridge, and it won't go off. Yeah, it's generally it was recommended to keep it cool if you're not going to be using it for a while.
Okay, I'll probably throw in the garage rather than the fridge. The fridge seems a weird place to put it.
Milliput. I mean, in the past when I used it, I don't think I've had any issues with it, to be honest, because it was. Yeah. It's remarkably set. The main difference is for tactile properties in green stuff, they don't share many. It's why a lot of folks, especially with miniature hobby, and people tend to mix the two together.
What, like they'll mix Milliput and green stuff. They'll mix them and then they'll mix them together, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, because that way you get a substance that it kind of has the best traits of both.
Huh.
It's not 100% better than either one, but it gives you a more complete material to work with. But you just can't get it out. But there's no one material that does the same job. At least not with the same properties it has. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, all I was doing was like filling in the thigh gap that I'd cut for Arkan, since he's not spread eagle now for a saddle. He needs to be more of a standing pose. So it's just kind of readjust that, and it's just I've shoved it in. I'm letting it. I think it's already dried, but it said like let it last for 48 hours. So and then I'm going to be sticking a little sword over it anyway. So hopefully it'll cover up any of the dew details. And then I've got to try and get a cape to not look absolute ass on his back, because I had to chop that up because there was a sword on the back. And it was his cape where, you know how it kind of billows outwards. It can't really billow outwards because he's going to be going on the bone dragon, and there's a big stand behind the altar. So his cape would just kind of get in the way. So I snipped it off and replaced it with a different cloak.
That works.
So I'm hoping if I just like glue and pull and glue and pull and glue and pull, eventually the plastic will just kind of ooze into a somewhat less jaggedy shape. That's the hope. I
mean, that generally works. I mean, should be all right.
I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm glad at least my Tomb King on foot doesn't have just like huge amounts of white on him, which he did before. It's kind of being cleaned up now.
Well, I've been moving into Old World as well, because the gaming club locally that meets once a month, the guy who organised it, he's quite keen to get into it, so he's been running Chaos Warriors and Tomb Kings.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
I've dug my old Empire army out. I feel really bad because we're 2 games in. I don't have the rulebook for Old World. He does.
Which rulebook?
The current the core rulebook. He's got the books he needs. I've picked up the Forces of Fantasy and the Empire Arcane Journal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Month and a bit as well. But I feel really bad because 2 games and I've won both quite dramatically.
Like superior gunfire kind of thing.
Well, the first game I got really lucky because I hit his. You know how Tomb Kings have their priest that is like the linchpin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hit him with a cannonball.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that was on turn 2.
That was lucky.
His army disintegrated over the next few turns.
Yeah, that's how that works, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it would have been like if it's turn 2 and he just killed his dude. I might have just called it quits there because you can't win at that point. You're done.
In fairness, he was doing pretty good against everyone else. It was just by the time his Tomb King got to my lines, he had like 2 bodyguards, and then it was just him facing my captain and a full regiment of halberdiers.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. And then the second game was really. I only lost one of the regiments I did because I opted to charge instead of firing all my guns at his lord. Because first off, my 5 Knights of White Wolf charged his Chaos Knights and slaughtered them. I mean, beat them into the ground and ran them down. My cannon, I dropped the mortar and took a cannon. Well, I had a cannon from the last list. I kept that, and I took a Hellblaster. And rather than deploying 2 ranks, I deployed my handguns in 1 long gun line instead.
Okay.
Which was far more effective. Yeah, they kind of. I bounced cannonballs off his chariots.
Oof.
Yeah, and then the Hellblaster went to work. It was kind of funny though because his lord and his regiment failed a charge against that would have hit my Hellblaster, which left them right in front of the Hellblaster,
ready to get gunned down,
and the handgunners.
Ew.
And on a horizontal from the Great Cannon.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
It was, and then Muggin's ear thought it'd be heroic and instead opted to charge that. It was only like 5 guys left from the Chaos Warriors with the Lord. Charged them with my Swordsman regiment and the Priest of Ulrich. And that regiment my regiment got sliced to pieces and run down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It did mean, though, that the next turn, my Hellblasters pivoted and blew his lord and his retinue to pieces.
Damn.
It was I felt really bad for that.
Got a message from Exel Hedge saying, humming the Prime theme song. Yes, we all should be. It's a good song. I actually prefer the Beast Hunters one more To be honest, I think that's really good. And Rodimus Power Toy Collector. Hi, greetings from Germany. I'm always enjoying your podcast. And then it says cat-orange-whistling, which I assume is meant to be an emoji. But because Restream doesn't use emojis, that's how it pops up. But hello, welcome. We've got the band all warmed up, so we may as well start the podcast, I think.
I think so.
I shall play the music, and we can get rocking and rolling all day long. Okay?
Yeah.
Music time.
Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. My name is Andy, Decayed Andy. I'm joined here by Big D, and I've got a question for you, Big D. Why is it that my Tomb King on foot is actually quite a bit smaller than a Lego minifigure? Isn't that terrifying, if you consider that? Not a huge amount. If you wanted to make a Tomb King's army using only skeletons from Lego, you could probably run that fairly well.
I mean, it's probably for one case where GW would actually be cheaper than buying the alternative, you know?
I don't know, because Lego makes a lot of skeletons, and you can get knockoffs Lego as well.
Oh, that's true.
And the knockoff Lego is pretty cheap.
Cheap enough to let you build
a full army? I don't know. Less paint? Well, no, yeah, well, technically less paint, unless you really wanted to, like, spray up your Lego skeletons and use like I don't know I can't think of the contrast paints. I can't think of what
or something. I mean, kind of pointless because you just have to you just be painting on bone symbols again.
That's
already
true.
on there.
Did you ever see the army someone made? It was a Necron army made of sprues.
Yes,
that was
and
great.
It's 100% legal because it's all made of GW plastic product.
I want to believe that he hadn't scraped off the actual stuff on the sprues as well, so it would be like sprue 19005929789. I hope they're on there as well.
You hope they'd keep that level of fidelity to the bit.
Oh, you know what would be really funny if each of those like warrior Necron sprue people were actually made with a Necron warrior sprue, and you could actually look at them and they'd have the number on some of them. That would be quite fun. That would make
I could imagine someone at a tournament going, well, if they're not clearly identifiable as Necron warriors...
Yes, if they're not using the sprue, are they really a Necron warrior?
And then someone goes, well, actually...
And then, oh, no.
Here's my microscope. Take a close look.
Yeah. Pain. We're not here to talk about Necron sprues. We're here to talk about Transformers Prime, the toy line. Because I looked at the news and there was... Again, not much. Again,
it's
very
a quiet week.
Yeah, we've had 2 quiet weeks back to back, so I thought, why not talk about toys? And it was explained to Big D that it was either try and go through the Generations toy line on TFU here, which is a bit fiddly because you've got Reveal the Shield, which is repaints, Legends figures, the automorphing car things, if you remember those.
Yes.
Where they were just a vehicle and you press a button and they kind of automorphed into basically a mask vehicle. They were technically part of the Generations kind of 2011-ish time period.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, like it's weirdly organized on here. So if you look at like the time period of the year, which is 2011, 2012, it lists everything. So it lists those. It lists all the Transformers Prime stuff. It's a bit of a mess. I went, you know what? We'll just do Transformers Prime. Lord. It's easier. Transformers Prime.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, okay, there's a lot of Transformers Prime toys because there's Beast Hunters and the second season. And I thought, what's the best thing to do? We started the start with the first edition stuff, and then how do they compare to the follow-up line, which was Transformers RID, Robots in Disguise, which was Transformers Prime.
I think that's a good shout, yeah.
Yeah, because now we can look at the first lot of figures, which were arguably better. We can look at the second lot of figures, and we can also talk about why they happened. And for those who don't know, I think this will be more for those that don't know, because some people might not know why the toy line kind of, I would say, dropped. as much as it did, but we can get to that. Mr. White says 2011 was a confusing time for stores and TF stock. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's a shame as well because I was looking forward to talking about Reveal the Shield Jazz because he's good, and Lugnut because he's really good. And there was a Sea Spray because we didn't talk about Sea Spray. Technically, Hunt for the Decepticons, but still worth talking about. But we're going to start off...
Tracks as well.
I don't like fat tracks.
It's more interesting tracks than anything else.
It's tracks like the guy from Dodgeball at the end of the movie, where he's lost a dodgeball tournament and it cuts to him on the sofa. He's just overweight. That's what it reminds me of.
It does work better as Wheeljack. Oddly, the Wheeljack is somehow stumpier than the tracks.
And it does make sense.
The legs.
Yeah.
Well, it's just I've engineered the legs so actually short. They are generally shorter than Trax's legs. Bizarrely.
It's odd.
But,
We'll start off with Transformers Prime. We're starting off with a 2-pack. It was a deluxe box set with Optimus Prime and Megatron. They are both deluxes, and it came with a DVD, which was classed as Masters and Students, which it says it runs for 22 minutes, so I'm assuming that's just the very first episode.
I think so, yeah.
Of a 3-parter. It's always...
And that terrifying logo, Hub.
Yes, the thing that set money on fire, which was a terribly stupid idea. But I didn't have this Optimus Prime. I did have the Megatron we can talk about in a bit, because the Japanese got these figures and sold them separately, gave them stickers and the little mini-com partners and stuff like that. So I do have the Megatron, so I can talk about that. The Optimus Prime, I can't really talk about as much, apart from just looking at it visually. So you'll need to run with me. Did you have either of these two, Big D?
Oh, excuse me. No, it's weird. I didn't really have much of the first edition Prime stuff.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't have many of the first edition Prime stuff. I did pick up bits of the line over the next few years.
Was it because it wasn't sold in the UK?
It was a bit of a pain to get hold of.
Was it sold in the... I was saying that because I was hoping you could confirm, because I don't think it was.
This 2-pack might have been available, but I don't think any of the other first edition stuff was, not widely anyway.
I'd say maybe, and this is just rolling a ball and hoping for the best, because I could be wrong.
I mean,
maybe the deluxes were. Like, I want to say maybe Bumble. I can almost remember like Bumblebee First Edition was on the shelves in like Toys R Us, I think, but I don't think the Voyagers were.
I certainly don't remember seeing any of that Voyager packaging they came in. Because it came in those nice window, that nice almost Hunt 360 transparent packaging, which
quite good. You all come with a little cardboard stand as well, which Hasbro would then bring back for the Studio Series line and charge you more for that. They did not charge you more for the little cardboard stands for the Transformers Prime First Edition stuff. But Optimus Prime Deluxe, he has incredibly long forearms because he's got the red forearms, and then he's got like a wrist joint that's maybe about a couple of centimeters too long, and then he's got the hands stuck on them, so his hands are actually below his knees, so they're really long in kind of proportion wise.
Yeah, that's a choice, that is, isn't it, for the engineering?
Yeah, you can tell that they're doing that so that the hands can fold up, and I'm guessing they go around the front somewhere. I'm trying to think about whereabouts his hands go for the vehicle mode, but clearly they couldn't be stored in the forearm, so you have to do something with them, I guess. But it does look a little bit odd. Again, this is a deluxe figure, so you kind of got to go, okay.
Yeah,
but I think it's a fair for Transformers Prime, which was a fairly complex design. It's not bad. He's got a lot back pedal, it looks like, because if you see like between his waist, he's got this big dark area, which is clearly the roof of the backing of the cab. So he's not like as visually slender as perhaps he should be, you know.
I mean, other than those forearms, this actually looks pretty decent.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, and to say a Prime's got a bit of a caboose, not uncommon.
No, and I think they've done the truck mode as well as you could hope. At least the one angle we have here on TFU, it looks exactly what I'd want it to be. Yeah,
I mean, that looks like a really nice truck, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they nailed it.
but it's quite clean
Mm-hmm.
overall, which again, not a given, especially at a deluxe price point for a Prime figure.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot worse doing these to date.
And he came with one gun, and it was the over-the-hand movie style where it's kind of a clam thing that goes over the top of his hand. No sword, none of that malarkey or anything like that. Oh, this set also came with a Jack, a Raph, and a Miko as well, which we can have a look. Should we? No, we'll have a look at them after we've talked about the Megatron. Various versions of this Prime. There was an additional version of this Optimus Prime. For information, see our page on the Optimus Prime table. Okay. I will click on the Optimus Prime table. It does not show me what it is talking about. Apparently there's another one, but it doesn't show me. And maybe they mean the Japanese version? Question mark? I'm guessing.
Maybe.
Mr. White says, marketed as knee-scratching action. To be fair, as this Optimus Prime ages, he's not going to have as much issues with back problems for bending over and scratching his legs. That's true. That's a fair point.
Yeah. Very true.
I can talk a little bit more about the Megatron, because as I said, I did get it. The interesting thing about the Megatron is it's incredibly similar to the Voyager. The Prime is not similar to the first edition Voyager. I don't know how close it is to the Voyager that came out for RID. It might be pretty similar, but the deluxe Megatron is incredibly similar to the Voyager Megatron that came out later. And for some reason, in the vehicle mode, they do not have it transformed correctly.
Is that why his head is so prominent?
No,
or is that just a thing with a figure?
That's the design, because that's how he looked in the show.
Yeah.
If you look, you see where his head is kind of poking out on the right hand side. There's the I guess the intake for what would be the engine.
Yes.
And then a little bit further to the right, there's this little clip thing that's pointing upwards.
Yeah, should the legs be over the top of that, should they?
Kind of. So you look at the leg, you see the big dark square block.
Yes.
Just below that, there's a line, and that piece of plastic would disconnect from the leg. Use that dark piece of plastic to swing upwards, and would give you the wing effect. And we'll probably see that when we look at the Voyager. But it does have it. They've just not transformed it correctly here for whatever reason. So in terms of how he looked perfect for his vehicle mode. It was a flawed vehicle design to begin with, but it was a fairly easy transformation to get him from one form to another, and just felt quite nice. The fusion cannon was, again, okay. It was about the right size, unlike the Voyagers, which was oversized and gimmick-ridden. This was the correct size. And the back kibble, he has a little bit of back kibble, but it's not too bad. Again, I think it's a little bit better than Prime, because it doesn't affect the silhouette, because it's just kind of above his hip area, so it's fairly clean, I'd say, for the most part. No ankle tilts, obviously, no waist joint. But kind of standard knee bends and universal joints all over the shop. So it's pretty good. They didn't fall down the spikes either on the shoulder for the robot mode for some reason. But that's okay. It doesn't affect it too much. The best thing about this version of the figure compared to the Voyager, which we'll again talk about in a moment, is this one is painted. So this one looks exactly as he should do. The Voyager is an unpainted mess. This one, he's got nice bits of silver accent paint on his chest, gray plastic, dark gray plastic, bits of purple plastic as well, kind of almost metallic-y purple plastic, and some nice grippy hands.
I was going to say, I do like the colors they've come up with.
Yeah,
for it.
They're nice.
Everything you want to do.
Yeah. So there's a good reason why when APC Toys, I think the fourth party company came around and upscaled this figure to make it a Voyager, they didn't have to do anything. Granted, it was either do this figure or do the Voyager figure, which was the same. They decided to use this one mostly as the basis and just paint it. And it's good. It annoys me that this was the best version of the Megatron that you could get in an official capacity. But I'm glad I got it, because it's quite nice.
It looks nice. I mean, it's weird because from the Prime, you basically have 3 characters from the movie get translated across. You've got Prime, Megs, and B. Honestly, I think Megs might have come out of it best, particularly because it takes the mess of the first movie design, and really trims a lot of the issues away. So it's not as much of a mess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's still got the weird jet mode, which has its own problems, but like a robot, yeah, he's not as much of a panely, gappy mess as 2007 Megatron, which no one ever convinced me that having exposed parts was a good idea. It would be like if you had if you went into combat missing your skin and exposed muscles, and the muscle wasn't there, so I could literally see all of your organs and aim directly at them. It's just not a good idea.
It's just an excuse to give the ILM CGI team a heart attack.
Yeah, and it was just visually messy. No one, I don't think. Well, but at this point, which is nearly 20 years later, Jesus Christ, I don't think anyone looks back at those designs and go, "Yeah, that was a really smart idea to do it that way." Yeah, think about that. The movies are nearly 20 years old. The first one.
Thank you for that, Andy.
No worries. I just looked at the date and went, oh, two more years on it. Yeah, so it's 18 years old this year. Wow. That's a whole person. That's a whole person. So someone could have been born when the first Transformers movie came out, and sometime this year, they will be legally allowed to drink, at least in the UK.
Yeah.
And vote. Isn't that funny? Think about it. Mr. White says, movie Megatron had the General Grievous problem. His weak spot was right there. But the thing with General Grievous was it wasn't as bad because he had like metal around his little heart area. The thing that was always weird was when like, was it Kenobi pulled his chest piece open and then he shot him instead of like Grievous kind of closing it back up again with like the other extra hands he had.
Well, I mean, by that point, Kenobi had chopped off 2 of those extra hands.
He did have another 2, though.
Well, he's had his normal hands. It is still weird that he didn't close it up. But
yeah, if someone exposed my like one vulnerable place, I'd kind of I'd maybe hide it. But to be fair, that movie has a lot of problems. Unfortunately, there's some good bits in Revenge of the Sith. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, there's some bits in Revenge of the Sith I genuinely enjoy. But then there's just weird pacing problems and just like what happened. There's a lot of what happened. There's so much story that isn't told in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, Clone Wars did a lot of heavy lifting at the end of the day, didn't it?
Yeah, but that was post the movie as well, so it kind of knew where it had to go and what it had to do, which was a bit on the strange side. Here's a question: which one did you prefer? Did you think Return of the Jedi is better, or do you think Revenge of the Sith is better? Because I find both movies have their moments and then have their really bad moments as well.
That's true. God, that's really a hard one because
the Jabba stuff at the start of Return of the Jedi is a different movie. It just
the Jabba stuff from the weird original cut of Jedi, I far prefer to the extended version.
Oh god, the CGI nightmare.
The extended version is.
Do you not like the singing bit? when the CGI monster like gets really close to the camera and it zooms into a CGI mouth, you didn't like that bit?
Not my favorite bit of the movie.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the extra beak that they gave the Sarlacc bit either. That was weird.
Yeah, that was a bit odd, to say the least. I mean, the rest of Jedi, though, is actually... I mean, I don't know about you, but growing up, I fell in and out of love with Ewoks. And for a long time, I was Tim from Spaced.
Okay.
You know, with the whole Ewoks thing.
Yeah.
But I've kind of come around in the last 10 years, just thinking like, they're fun. They're a fun addition. Would I've loved to see an army of Wookiees? Yeah, but this is a fun idea. And that's surprisingly effective. I
think the problem is it's a bit more of a like you go from Empire, which is fairly dark and bleak, and then you go to Jedi, and it's like it's a bit of bit of a slap in the face, like in terms of tone.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a lot darker if things, because I mean, famously, there were stories that Harrison Ford wanted Solo to die.
Yeah, well, certainly proved that later on in life.
Yeah, and they had plans to kill Lando and destroy the Falcon. They weren't supposed to get out of the Death Star too.
Oh, you can't have that.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean,
you gotta have that dude with the big ears go.
Yeah,
my favorite bit.
I mean, they're both. I think they're both good films, but you're right; they are both flawed. Sith does provide a really nice capstone to the prequels, and I think kind of shows us what we. Because I mean, my issue for prequels is that clones needed an edit, a big edit, to make it. Because you don't get any sense of how much time is passing, and a lot of time passes during the course of that movie.
Oh, you mean Clone Wars, the movie?
Attack of the Clones.
Oh, okay. See, to me, there's only one thing that's worthwhile in Attack of the Clones, is that's Natalie Portman when she gets her clothes ripped in the Coliseum bit. That's the only bit I need to see of that movie.
You're not a fan of her in the leather bodice?
Not really. I like seeing the midriff. Get me the midriff. I'm like, there we go. We're on board. We're rocking and rolling.
But yeah, it's. I think I probably would say I prefer Jedi over Sith, but Sith makes the prequels a much more fulfilling experience to watch.
It's interesting. See, I think for me, I like Jedi more because I think the emotional hook, which is the best bit of Jedi, which is Vader and the Emperor and Luke. It's the only bit of the last sequence that's really oomphy, where you go, "Oh yeah, that's really good." I think that's got more emotional resonance than you were the chosen one, Anakin. I loved you. As then he gets set on fire, and he's like, "Well, bye, Anakin." As he's literally burning to death, he's like, "Well, all right, see you later, dude."
Yeah. Yeah, it's.
I just imagine Gruff doing that to me. "I loved you, Andy. You were my brother." I'm like, "I'm on fire, you cunt. Come here, help me." All right, tried to kill you, but come on. I've got no legs. Give us a break.
And Andy, have you been chopping up younglings again?
Well, they're really annoying. They just need to be quiet in the cinema. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Mr. White says, "I saw Jedi when I was 6 in the cinema, so nothing ever tops the original version." I mean, the original versions. If Disney wants to make money, and I don't know if they're legally allowed to release the unedited versions, the not fancy versions, that would be an easy way to make money, because I think the original versions are better.
I mean, it's not like Lucasfilm didn't release the standard editions on... As one of the later DVD releases, they did have a version that came with.
Wasn't there a reason why? I think there's a stupid reason why they won't do it, but I can't remember what it is. It's like producers or rights, right? Something stupid.
I'm not sure. I know that the big issue for why they did for special edition in the first place, because the film degraded so badly. So the actual versions of the original trilogy that exist are from those original masters, and they're not great quality. They haven't been touched up at all.
Oh, Mr. White says that, guys, that's a huge reason for the lack of the original editions. That's all. It's not due to the film degrading, says Mr. White.
Okay.
I'm sure he's furiously typing out what the reason is. People angrily whapping the keys. I'll also read his previous message as well, which was, Sith just felt like ticking boxes, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't read that. You knew what was going to happen, and the fights were just style over substance. I wouldn't disagree. It was like key jingling, but they were fun keys. I like the incredibly over-the-top, silly lightsaber fight with Luke and Anakin and Ben.
Obi-Wan.
Benny Kenobi. Yeah, Benji Kenobi. Luke's anger in Jedi kicks the crap out of that. I would agree. Mr. White finishes off his point by saying it's down to a divorce. Oh, that's right. It's Lucas's wife, isn't it? And an editing credit. That's right.
Okay.
I knew there was. I was sure there was some reason. Yeah, because he'd have to pay his wife or something and fuck her. But would he have to do it? No, it'd be down to Disney now, I suppose, wouldn't it?
I think it'd be Disney now.
Disney shouldn't theoretically give a shit.
Well, they've not really given a shit about anything previous contracts.
And they haven't given a shit about anything they do at the moment. So if they wanted to make some easy money, they could do it that way.
I mean, this is the company that turned around and told a lot of the creators involved in the spin-offs to Fox properties like Alien and the like for their contracts for royalties for the tie-in novels and the stuff would null and void because it wasn't the same company anymore. Because they'd bought Fox, and it's like, hang on, no.
Yeah, Disney's the worst.
You buy a company, you buy their responsibilities as well.
Not if you're Disney, because you don't give a shit.
Yes.
But they're burning money, to be fair, so,
Yeah.
Mr. White says, and the stipulation for the Disney buyout was they could not show the original version. Oh, well, that's lame.
No.
That's a bummer.
It is.
Back to the first edition 3-pack.
Yes.
It also came with a...
back to the point.
That's right. We have a Jack Darby with horribly cold dead eyes, who looks a bit like one of the button-eyed people in Carline, except he doesn't have buttons for eyes. But
my God, that's a serial killer.
He looks how I feel most of the time when people tell me about their problems, and I think about my own life at the same time. He's also got really long hands. What's that?
I was going to say, what with unhealthy, waxy skin?
I don't go outside a lot, so yeah, kind of. He's actually got more complexion than I do because I don't go outside. He does have slightly long, creepy salad fingers as well, but So there's the Jack, there's the Miko, who again has horribly nightmarish eyes. These are not tall figures, so the paint being kind of wubby flubby on them is just like, okay, well, disappointing.
Yeah,
whatever.
The pictures are kind of doing them a bit of a disservice given how zoomed in they are.
Yeah, because they are small.
They were small.
Yeah, they're not Lego small, but they're kind of they're not that much bigger than a Lego minifigure. I'm thinking like looking at my my Studio Series Preceptor, and I think they only went up to like his knee, and that was Jack, who's the tallest one. And then we got Raph as well, who's probably the most non-threatening looking one out of all of them.
Yeah, Raph actually looked probably the best out of all three, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Although points for getting across Miko's perpetually annoyed expression, I do appreciate them to get
that's true.
detail.
Yeah. Again, slightly creepy, just dots for eyes, though. I think only Raph had dots for eyes. Did he have dots for eyes? No, none of them did. I'm guessing it's just because they're all small, right? It's probably why they have to capitulate to that. It's worth mentioning. The Megatron mold, this one, the deluxe version, got reused for Rampage for Protoform X, I think he was called, for the Collectors Club. So we got a new head, and that was really it. And they were kind of banking on the kind of pointy crab look. Oh, if you look at the vehicle mode, you can see what the completely correctly transformed version of the vehicle mode should look like as well. Actually did the leg wings correctly on this version.
That looks a lot nicer.
Yeah. Still, you can see the head. It's very obvious. They don't hide it. Yeah. But it looks like a thing now. Well.
It does work shockingly well, though, for Rampage.
It works.
Better than you'd expect it to,
Not the vehicle mode. I say for the robot mode, for the Protoform X, I 100% agree. From the one silhouetted view that we got of him in his Protoform X form, when all he needed was like little things to go around his wrists, so someone could like hold his hands. Sticks to go around his hands because he had whatever those were called. They weren't really chains. It's like the things you put around. Yeah, it's like the stuff the torturers would put around. Anti-Christians people's necks, and they had the spikes on the inside of them. Whatever those torture devices were to kind of push them along. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Skaven used them as well. Beastmasters, Skaven used them.
Yeah, I know what they're called. I just can't remember off the top of my head right now.
I'm waiting for Mr. White to randomly put it in, because if he puts it into chat, I'll be like, BDSM. That makes a lot of sense. So they did the Rampage. That was a figure that came out, and they also did Hunter. which is a repaint of the Rampage into... Oh, fuck, what was he called? I'll scroll down. Oh, Shokarak. They did him in Shokarak colours. I had to scroll down. I couldn't remember his name. I don't think this one looks as good because it doesn't have the flamboyanty colours. They are correct for Shokarak. I just don't think it has as much visual flair. I don't think. Would you agree there?
I'd agree. Fun though they made him a Star Seeker. That's a neat touch.
It's a weird touch because it's Shokarak and he's not a pirate. I can't remember what his role again was in the...
he was one of Unicron's heralds, I think.
Is that what it was? I remember he was into the Agnomalius.
Yeah,
the stuff from Beast Wars Neo.
Unicron and...
Yeah,
he was part of that really weird.
That's right, because the Agna, whatever it was called, the green stuff was the blood of Unicron, wasn't it? It was some sort of Unicron byproduct.
Yeah.
Like his droppings or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something akin to that. It still looks nice. It is weird that he's a pirate, but all right, whatever. I think the Rampage is better. Just
I mean, Shokarak does have some nice colours, just perhaps not for this mold.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to phrase it. Or maybe you could have dialed up a bit more of the bronze on the figure. He's just too dark. He's got too much just dark colors. I think if you pumped up, like he's got decent bronze coverage on his face. If you'd pumped a bit more of that on the chest and then on the lower sides of the legs and maybe the hands as well, because he's got it on the shoulder spikes. But that's pretty much it. The bronze kind of fades away very, very quickly. And even in vehicle mode, there's very small amounts of bronze on him. The best you've got is like his back heel spurs and then the pointy bits that fold out for his wings as well. But Mr. White says Jack Darby looks like young Jeffrey Combs. Oh, come on, that's not fair. I like Jeffrey Combs. And Mr. White says, sorry, I'm just imagining Rampage buying all the global higher color tees he used for his color scheme. HYER color. Higher. Whatever that word is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mr. White decided to have his thesaurus out today. The word of the day is higher color. Higher color. That's what I'm going to blame it on. It's not because I'm stupid. Get out of here. So we can move on from that, and we could talk about first edition Cliffjumper, another one. Mr. White says global hypercolor. Oh, he messed out the P.
That'll do it.
Okay. It wasn't me being stupid. It was one simple spelling mistake. That's okay. I'd rather me make a mistake from just having a letter missing. That's okay. But yeah, APC Toys did a version of first edition Cliffjumper. I never got first edition Cliffjumper, but he looked really good. He looked on model. He was nice, big, beefy, and chunky, and he had, a pretty interesting transformation from the videos I saw and maligned over not having. He didn't come with weapon accessories, but his fist did kind of spin around, so he had his triple-barreled guns that came into his hands. I'd say maybe his feet looked a little on the weird side, and I'll tell you what the most annoying thing about this figure was. The most common version of him was the zombie Energon crappy version of him.
Yeah.
The Terracon version, that's what it was called.
I remember that because it was
BotCon exclusive, I think, as well.
Because I ended up getting the standard release of Cliffjumper, which I actually didn't have.
Which one do you mean? The RID version?
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2012 one, which a lot of folks, I've seen people give a lot of flack, but
I think it's pretty bad. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Especially compared to this one. Like, because this one's on model, Or closer to being on model than that one was.
Yeah, I mean, this one uses the car roof as 1-to-1, which I'm trying to remember. I think the cartoon it was supposed to be small, but that's because it cheated.
The what? Sorry, what was meant to be smaller?
The robot mode chest supposed to be a little smaller.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's because it cheated. So the mainline release also cheated by having a false chest.
Yes.
Or a false hood.
Is it a false chest?
Yeah. Well,
is it? Not on this one. If you mean the RID version, then yes. But
the RID one.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the first edition one because that's the one we're looking at. Okay.
The thing that I remember seeing a lot of people quote as being their big gripe about the two is that RID Cliff Jumper used.
Oh, that was my issue.
Chest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, which I never understood that complaint, to be honest, because.
No, that wasn't the issue I had with it. But this one has decent, like it doesn't fake the chest. I suppose you could, I guess, if you wanted to throw that out there. It like I said, it just looks more on model. It had a decent face sculpt as well, and it looks like the red on the translucent roof is slightly off. I wonder how close it would be in person. It's always hard to see with photos, right?
Yeah. I mean, in person, I don't know if you'd notice that much, to be honest.
Or it might be more noticeable. Like I say, it's hard to tell.
I mean, the interesting is that it's translucent on the back portion of the car top as well, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
And yet, on the picture, you can see they're both. That might just be simple degradation of the paint, to be honest.
I don't think it's degradation because these would be fairly newish pictures. Because these would have been taken when it came out.
That's true.
So I don't think so.
But it's interesting how the two halves of the roof do have a different tint to them. I think it might just be the light, to be honest.
Maybe. Again, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because we only have this one picture of the car mode from the side. XL Hedge says, no, the most annoying thing about Cliff Jumper is that none of them came with a people's eyebrow. I remember when I heard The Rock and was like, why is The Rock in this? And then he died. Spoilers. Then he died and I was like, oh, for fuck.
Oh, that explains it.
It was one of those things where I just saw like Hasbro going money and then just throwing it into a fire. Because that's all that, at least from my perspective, that's all that was. That was them getting money, giving it to The Rock and burning it, because he never came back. And I thought the guy that played Cliff Jumper for the kind of past episode of RC's backstory, he was fine. He was great. He was good Cliff Jumper. He was good. He didn't sound like The Rock, but he had the kind of candor at the very least. And I was like, no, that's good. I like the sound of him. You should have given him the part at the start instead of spending it all in just The Rock for whatever reason. Yeah. Hasbro, what are you going to do? Mr. White says the character and the toy deserved better screen time.
Yeah.
It's if you think about it, how much money they would have spent on the model as well, right? Because they only used the model 3 times. They used it for him, they used it for the Terracon, and then they used it for Tailgate, technically, even though you barely see Tailgate in full close-ups.
I was going to say, did they use it for any of the characters?
Yeah, Tailgate, but like I say, I'm pretty sure that was the model that they used, but it was so like severe close-up, kind of shaky, kind of horror kind of camera that it was made so it wasn't super obvious. I think that's what they'd said, though, that Tailgate was originally the Cliff Jumper model, which is kind of hilarious that, you know, RC's next partner that died was the exact same looking character, just red, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, though, chat, let me know. I'll happily take that. Mr. White also says... the whole Rock angle was a dumpster fire of wasted money. I
mean, it was for Hub.
That's the problem. Yeah, Hasbro was riding high off the movies and it's like, we got money to burn. I went, okay, let's go. But yeah, I will say I like this. I like the look of this mold. And it got 2 other editions. It got the Terracon Cliff Jumper and the I forgot about this. It got reused for the GDO, which I can't remember what that stood for. Generations Cliff Jumper.
Global. It was some marketing. It was a territorial thing for Southeast Asia area.
Yeah, it just says Asia exclusive, but it doesn't say what it stood for. It seems like it was the same figure. They just changed the head to a G1 Cliff Jumper head, which I don't think really works. It looks kind of odd.
Yeah, which was kind of a theme with those GDO figures, to be honest, because
was it Springer? Was Springer part of that one where he was using the helicopter?
Swerve on Breakdown's body, which was hilarious because it made Swerve massive. You had Springer based on the Tomahawk Dark of the Moon figure. So he was very spindly.
I actually have that. I liked it, to be honest. It was weird, though.
Yeah.
Springer was too thin, but...
Yeah. Shockwave. Who did they base? Shockwave. I can't remember who Shockwave was now.
I can't either.
Yeah. But
I only really remember Cliffjumper and the Springer, and that was it. I don't remember the other ones. There weren't many.
It's weird.
It feels like just a random thing that we're just throwing out to South Asia or just Asia, just to be like, there you go. There's some exclusives for you.
Yeah. And it really hurt when we still didn't get any of them in the UK or Europe.
No, Al, we're not Asia, so go fuck ourselves, I suppose, again, I guess.
What did we do to piss Hasbro that we didn't get any first edition Prime figures? Jesus.
Well, not that we remember, at least. We might have. XL Hedge says, technically, Cliffjumper's flashback was an adaptation of a comic story. Okay. And Mr. White says, Global Development Organization.
That was it.
Is that actually what GDO stood for?
Now we said it, yeah, that is what it was.
Not Global Duck Organization or Organism. Global Duck. Giant Duck Organism. It's the new Godzilla monster. It's a giant duck from space.
Oh, dear.
No? Okay, well, fair enough. But yeah, this Cliffjumper, I did a weird one. The Terracon version, actually not too bad. It's not the one that anybody really wanted. This would be like, you already have the Cliffjumper. I guess you'll buy this one. It had a new head. And then it had the translucent parts, which were now purple rather than blue. And then it had painted, like, ripped Energon bleeding out detail. It's not bad. Yeah. It does look a little bit like he's got sores on him, though.
Which kind of is on brand for just not... It works for the zombie vibe, but it doesn't really say Dark Energon, does it?
No, I don't know what they could have done. Maybe the robot mode needed more bits of purple paint on it. I don't know. But again, it's just like, this is not the primary version of the mold you go for. This is, I have this, I like this mold enough to buy a second version of it. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Like,
and I will say, I was just going to say, at least on the roof of the car, what they've done is they've actually used the translucent plastic to get some of the effect.
Yeah.
So that's a good show. That at least is showing a bit of inventiveness, shall we?
Do you think it's a bit of a detriment because it is so dark? It just looks like black splodges.
Yeah, I mean,
if they painted it, it would have looked a bit like more energy.
I imagine under the right light, that could look really good.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to get the right conditions to get it to shine. But then you have the Arms Micron version, which doesn't have that problem per se. It just makes you terrified to handle it, because look at the bloody thing.
Yeah. That's an issue. Mr. White says, Zombie Cliff, they should have added a model of burning money and a fake small check addressed to The Rock. That would have been interesting. So that's Zombie Cliff and Terracon Cliff. And then we have another one that I didn't get. And this is like one of the few first edition ones that I would say is worse than the RID version. And that's just from visuals. Obviously, I've not handled this, but this is the first edition of Viacon. Again, I was really fucking pissed I didn't get this one at the time. Because I know people that had bought multiple versions of them, because of course they did. Vehicle mode looks fine. It's a bit panelly in places, but that's okay. It has an attack mode, which is quite basic, which is just you get the gun and you stick it in a slot on the front of the car, and it's okay. Well, attack mode, fair enough. But the robot mode isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad. It's just... He's got a lot of extra panels compared to the RID version, which is surprisingly streamlined. This one has a big old bonnet on his booty. He's like the girl who's embarrassed by her tushy that everybody looks at, so she's just put a sign in front of it so no one will catcall her. The head sculpt is good. Do the arms extend? I don't think the arms are fully extended in this image, If you look because if you look, there's no elbow joint, but if you look to where the shoulder joint is, it looks like that's where the elbow joint is, and you could just pull it downwards, and it would kind of extend a little bit further down.
It does look a little mistransformed in that regard, doesn't it? Yeah.
And as we've said before, while using TFU as a source, that has happened previously. So unfortunately, I can't talk too much about how well this transforms, as I never had it. But thankfully, we got the RID version later on, which I know is better. I don't think this was used for anything else again, was it? No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Do you know much about this one, Big D? From videos or anything like that? Or do you have any thoughts on this one in general?
It's an odd one. I mean, it's nicer for a grunt. There were there were what, 3 Viacons effectively? You had the aerial version, the ground version, and then this first edition version of the ground one.
Well, you also had the Japanese version where you had the air version and the elite version of the air version, which was the silver one.
That's true. And eventually we got the Viacon Air Commander in that set with Breakdown.
That's right, yes.
So that's actually quite refreshing to get so many versions of a grunt. So that's actually kind of nice. And the fact that they made it part of the first edition release, it may not be a particularly good figure.
Right, it might be. We just don't know.
Yeah. But the fact that they put a grunt in the first edition lineup, that's actually kind of notable.
I'll throw out, first edition got most of the main characters.
Yeah.
It got the main crews, pretty much. Who are they missing? No one. From the first episode, they got everyone from the first episode, I would say.
No Ratchet.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Is that the only one?
Looks like.
Bulkhead. Yeah, Ratchet's the only one they didn't get a first edition of. Oh.
Yeah. Was Soundwave in the first episode?
No. Oh, yes? Yes? I don't know. I want to say he probably was. So Ratchet and Soundwave were the only two that didn't get their figures for. Because the next character that was introduced was Skyquake. And obviously he was like the 3rd or the 4th episode. But it's good that they got most of the main cast, apart from 2. Next up, we have Bumblebee. I didn't have this one, but I did play with it at Dave's house. This is better than the RID version, because the RID version, from what I remember, had Automorph. I will say I don't like the yellow that they use on this mold. Because B in the show was more of an orangey kind of Sunny Delight kind of yellow, if I remember. This one's just like harsh yellow.
Yeah, Prime B had more of a shade of, movie B, because he had that Camaro golden yellow.
He was Avalon Sun yellow.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. This one, it's a much more washed out yellow plastic, which doesn't do it any favors, I don't think.
I think it's probably more standard, conventional Bumblebee yellow, but it's not accurate Bumblebee Prime yellow, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah.
If I remember, and you can look at the figure as well, it looks like his chest is still a little bit messy to transform, and the shoulders and the elbow joints are kind of a bit weird as well, from how it looks. It looks like the elbow joint is... let's see, like the wheel is the shoulder, and then you've got this U-shaped bit of plastic that goes around the wheel, and in the center of that you've got like a drop-down ball joint, which I don't know if that moves separately as well with like a pin through it, maybe. And then you've got the elbow joint.
That's some real interesting design, and honestly, I'm not sure whether I applaud them or I'm terrified for how long it would last. I
think it would probably be okay because it's not translucent plasticky.
No.
It just looks off slightly. It doesn't look quite right.
I can understand that. I mean, I'll give them this. The fact that they managed to get that split chest look, that's not really something easy to do engineering-wise and have any sort of stability.
Yeah.
Actually doesn't look too bad, to be fair.
No, they've got the weird B proportions as well, because in Prime, he did have that kind of like really long, broad chest, super skinny waist, and then I think he did have kind of gorilla-ish kind of arms, mostly.
He did. Yeah, he had some weird proportions, did Prime B.
Yeah.
But then he had a bit of a weird role as well, because they were trying to pitch him more as... Yeah. try to make him more of a warrior than a scout. Which okay.
Yeah. Vehicle mode again has very, very translucent blue windows, and you can see his backs of his forearms just in the windows there. And because they've got ports in them, it kind of looks like he's got eyes.
It looks like. But do you remember Day of the Tentacle?
I do. Yeah. Oh, you mean the little tentacle people?
Yeah. It looks like he's got turbos.
Yeah.
Or some weird.
I saw
some weird faceless aliens who are just screaming in horror.
I saw it more of like a more modern, angry version of Brum, if you remember Brum.
Yeah.
Slightly odd. But I'd say the paint job's not bad with like the stripes going all over the shop. I'm pretty sure that's accurate to how he was in the show. I don't remember what the lines were like on B's car mode though, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Did he have that many lines in the show? He probably did. I
think because they were kind of mimicking again that Camaro stripe, but I think that they did have to change things for Prime because otherwise it would have been Yeah.
You're probably right.
So it's not 1-to-1, but I mean it looks fairly nice, and at least it's fairly crisp, even if there's a lot of it. But
recolors of this thing got used for New York Comic Con Prime B in 2011, where they made him a quote unquote taxi cab, where they changed the plastic color so he's not pea yellow. He's, I'd argue, if not the right color, closer to his like yellowish kind of avalanche sun color.
Closer, but
it's still not quite right.
Is it me, or is there a weird fleshy hue to this color? Because it somehow feels a little too orange, or a little just too pink.
I think the way I would describe it is, do you remember opal fruits, a starburst?
Yes. Yes, I know exactly. Yes, I know exactly what you mean there. Yeah.
He's the color of a chewy, sweet orange flavored thing. So it's orange, but it's not. It's like you say, it's slightly almost washed out. Like you say, almost slightly fleshy toned. Like if you chewed him, you wouldn't be surprised how orangey he tasted, I'd say.
Yes.
It's odd. Mr. White says B looks like he's stuffed with minions.
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And Excelhead says, I only had first edition B as a taxi with pink RC. Yeah. That's the one we're talking about here. They did change the stripes on him to... I wouldn't say that this looks like a New York taxi. Anything about it looks like a New York taxi, because that's not the patterns that the New York City taxi have, at least in my eyes, or at least in my memory.
I mean, they've kind of stylized it, because they do have a yellow and black checkerboard on the stripe, but they've got part of that on one of the door stripes, which is more or less how that does work. Yeah. But then over the rest of the hood and the bodywork, they've kind of added bits of the checkerboard, but not completely. So
it's almost like someone went, what if we had a sports car version of a New York taxi? And I guess this is what they would go for. And it's like, but why? Also, the engine's not really painted. Only the top part is painted.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. That looks a little odd.
And then for some reason, the roof of the translucent blue plastic looks more consistent to what the rest of it. Maybe that's just a solid bit of plastic. But around the window screen, it's yellow rather than being orange.
Yeah. I do like the use of that darker translucent, though. That works.
Yes, that's much better. Much better.
Yeah. It's not perfect, but it minimizes the distressing look of his forearm.
Yeah, and that's all I ask for like translucent stuff. If you have to make translucent windows, make them as like opaque as possible. If you still want to make them translucent, have them like so it hides stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like, especially if you're using the interior of what would be the cabin to store shit.
Yes.
If it's got the head or the arms or the hands or whatever, just make it so we can't tell.
Or makes it harder to tell, so it's not quite as obvious. That's always nice. XL Hedge says Andy clearly's never ride in the first class Camaro taxi that charge you an arm and a leg. No, thankfully not. I've only been to New York once, I think, and that was pre WrestleMania 22, and I was only there for a couple of days. Note that WrestleMania 22 was in Detroit, so we had to make a journey. It was okay. It was nice enough. I think it was in 2007. It was probably a bit nicer than it is now.
Yeah, you just made me think that, wait, that was almost 20 years ago now as
yeah,
well.
Yeah, it's almost been double the amount of time since I last went to Mania to the new Mania that's coming up now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to think about as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see me in 23, but you can see me in 22.
Is it weird though that it's also going to be another Mania with John Cena, CM Punk, and Randy Orton taking part?
It's not surprising. I actually might watch WrestleMania with my mate this year since I'll be able to. I don't care about wrestling, but I'm just like, I might as well go around to his and watch it. Something fun to do.
The fact that it's on Netflix now makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't bother me because he watches it every year, so I'm going around to his place.
No,
he'd have it.
I tend that and the Rumble tend to be the only two shows I try and make sure I watch now.
Oh, okay.
The others, it's when they're available, but now it's all on Netflix, so it makes it so much easier.
Yes, because they got rid of their ill-fated streaming service because they realized it was probably a little bit too much to run.
I mean, in fairness, WWE Network was really good as a library.
I'd say it was better, but I think they could. It was not making them as much money as like if they just put that stuff out on Blu-ray or DVD.
But they have just launched a dedicated WCW channel.
Oh my god!
On YouTube.
WCW.
Yeah, so I think that's possibly where they're looking to put a lot of the library now. So
to be fair, most of my wrestling intake is just Botchamania because I enjoy Botchamania, even though sometimes I cringe at it and I go, oh no.
I'll be honest, unless it's a show I really want to see, I just read cage side seats for the roundups.
Do you know what Botchamania is? Have you heard of it?
Yes, that's the is it a podcast or is it just a website? Because I've heard of Botchamania. And they kind of go through and point out where stuff botches.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's done by a British dude as well, so support the cause. Mr. White says a WCW channel with 3 exclamation marks. Wow, he's really excited. We could watch RoboCop save Sting with 4 exclamation marks. That's true.
Yeah.
He was in that. Was it? It wasn't Peter Weller who was dressed up as a RoboCop for it, though, was it?
No, it was just some poor bastard in the suit.
That's what I thought. It would have been really cool if it was. No, it would have been. I think it probably would have been kind of depressing if it was Peter Weller dressed up for WCW. That would have been depressing. But yeah, Bumblebee Taxi. Maybe not quite the right version, but a little bit closer to the right color scheme, but with a weird taxi logos on the side of him.
And then it's fun that it exists.
Yeah, I suppose.
I like seeing fun little repaints like this.
Yeah. We got the first edition RC figure, which is one that I did have. I would describe this one as an interesting bike former that is maybe a little bit fiddlier than what I would like. I prefer the RID version, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. This wasn't bad. It was just, I remember, a bit on the fiddly side, and I can't remember exactly why it was fiddly.
Yeah, I never owned this version, but I did hear word of mouth that, I mean, she was probably, for the time she came out, she was the nicest bike former they had, but then the RID version solved a lot of the issues that this figure did have. Yeah. So, and it doesn't help that RC had a particularly slim robot mode in the show.
Yeah, like one that just doesn't work in terms of transforming again.
Yeah, I mean, I like how this looks.
Yes,
I don't know what it was like in hand, but purely on a looks basis, it gets most of the beats right.
I think the shoulder fins pads are too big. But I think their neck needed to be big to hide a lot of the robot mode in bike mode. And the bike mode looks nice as well. I think the bite mode might look a little bit better than the RID version, and I think color scheme wise, this is the right blue, while the RID version is a much lighter blue, from what I remember.
Yeah.
She comes with her two blade things, which I think are too big, but are fine for the case of hey, this is a fun action figure toy thing rather than anything else. Yeah. And we also have the New York version, which is the one XL Hedge mentioned, and the difference here is she's pink. She is bathroom pink. 90s or 80s bathroom pink.
I mean, she's very G1 Narcy, isn't she?
That's what they've gone for, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Pink and white.
It's another case of, I'm actually glad that they did a version in this color scheme, because it does work for the figure. They've made it fit, so it's not just slapped on. You can still tell that it's both Prime RC and what they're homaging. So that's nice.
Okay, I want you to look at the pink RC figure. The shot on the top where it shows just the face, right? And if I said this was the Shattered Glass Prime RC and she was a psychopathic killer, what would you think?
I'd say, yeah, that's a fair shout.
You can see it, right?
Yeah.
If there was like red human blood splattered across her face as she's just pulled Jack apart in front of her and like drinking his blood, you'd be like, that's the face sculpt. And I don't know whether it's because of the lighting, but there's something really sinister looking about it.
I think part of it is that where you got where the translucent plastic transitions to the main plastic of the face, the paint doesn't go all the way back in the eye sockets.
Oh yeah, it's like it's pink there.
You have that pink splash of pink at the back of the eye socket between.
Yeah. So she looks bloodshot eyes. Yeah.
That makes it look real sinister.
She's got the smirk on her face, bloodshot eyes. The head's kind of cast in shadow. It's like creepy RC figure. Very creepy. XL Head says, honestly, I think Pink RC was made in reference to Season 3's joke about reversing her colors. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, like Big D said, it was probably just, at the very least, because, like, hey, RC pink. And the joke in Season 3 was made because, hey, RC pink. Because, New York, the New York one was 2011. Season 3 must have been 2012, 2013, I would think, right? Logically.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Because I want to say 2011 was when Prime started. Maybe 2010. There was also a transmutate version of this figure done with no new head sculpt. So she, again, looks slightly sinister. She has bright red translucent eyes, and then she has dark eyeliner going around her. So she looks very tired psycho killer.
Yeah, and again, because the paint doesn't go all the way back, it's still got that little trim of... God, that's really creepy, that is.
Yeah, it's another slightly strange, slightly scary. The silver on the eyebrows as well is, I think, needed to be a slightly brighter or darker color because it just seems to merge into the, what kind of color would you say? Like a soap toffee brown color of transmutate? I don't think it pops enough to really stand out. It looks okay though for transmutate. I guess it's close enough to working, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's just a weird, like, thin armed figure. Yeah, that'll do. This is before transmutate becomes, or after she becomes a normal member of society. He says, looking at the red eyes and trying not to think too hard about that. Never mind. That was the only versions of these ones done. So this was an okay one. This from the ones I had was not one of my favorites, I'll be honest. But this was Starscream, the deluxe Starscream, which I was very happy with. His biggest issue was his little pointy up in the air fin thing. That was bendy plastic, and you can see the image here.
I was going to ask about that because he's got a kink.
Yeah. His little head crest thingy is always bent because that was incredibly floppy plastic. I think everybody as well painted theirs red, like with the Sharpie, because I did with mine because it was a really easy mod to make. You just get a Sharpie, paint it red, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. But no, this figure was really good in terms of like it looked pretty damn accurate to how Starscream looked. It was really thin and lithe, and then it turned into a mostly accurate jet. I think you can tell it's not exactly on point, but for a deluxe scale, it mostly worked. They haven't transformed it correctly because the nose cone does connect closer to the chest than it does in this image. But it had a fairly interesting transformation. It was what put me off getting the Voyager. I didn't get it, so I don't know how good or bad that is. But it probably doesn't have as bendy missiles, because you can see the missiles are all floppy and bendy as well for some reason. XL Head says, first edition Starscream soft plastic is a nightmare. Yeah. I get why the head crest is, bendy plastic, because it is a small nipple that could break. I don't get why the missiles were bendy plastic, though.
I'm guessing they just gang molded them on the same tool as wherever the head crest came from.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the only thing that really makes sense. This was recolored as the Dark Energon Starscream in 2012, which is effectively Skywarp colors. And that's funny because Japan did a Skywarp version of this mold.
I was going to say.
And a Thundercracker version of this mold as well. No new heads, but the difference between this one and the Japanese one is all the black plastic is translucent. All the pink, it's not purple, all the pink plastic is opaque. And then he's also got very dark blue on random bits of him, like his knees, which are also not light plastic, soft plastic. His missiles are blue, and round his head as well, for his eyebrows and whatnot, and his cheekbones and whatnot, they're also blue for some reason. It's a weird color scheme. It's a weird one. What do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you like the weird, bizarre? Because this was the thing with the line. They were very translucent, because they did a slicer as well who was super translucent as well.
Yeah, the Dark Energon line really lead into that whole translucent with real bright paint and plastic. And you know what? This actually, as much as the translucent does make me a little apprehensive for how, given that those thighs, how well they'd endure over the long term.
Oh, yeah.
It actually it's very distinctive. It looks good. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I kind of wish it wasn't Skywarp, though, because obviously if you make it Skywarp, it's like that's the business decision to kind of screw people over, right? Because they go, well, I have to get it Skywarp. I kind of wish it was someone, I don't know, irrelevant, like Action Master Thundercracker.
Yeah.
Like but the problem is probably no one would want it then, right?
Yes, that's. I think that's on the nose. Really, they go for a repaint that they know will sell.
Yeah, whether it's maybe a good idea or a bad idea, I suppose from a fan standpoint. But yeah, he's certainly different, certainly unique.
Yeah,
remolds. This figure was remolded into Arms Micron Skywarp. Oh, I just mentioned that. Oh, it was remolded technically. Yes, because they had to have the Arms Micron ports added on. It wasn't a huge add-on. It was just like they added extra engine, quote-unquote, missile pieces underneath the wing. Yeah. What do you think of that one? Do you like that one? I think that one looks more like what you'd want from a Skywarp, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is one I imagine that few has in his collection.
You'd
as a connoisseur of all things Skywarp, because no translucence. The engine pod, I think, actually works really nicely as a way to, one, incorporate the gimmick, but also to add a bit of a extra flair that I think Screamer might have been missing.
Do you think that I think the missiles look okay for, like, the silhouette, at least for the robot mode. But in vehicle mode, they almost don't look like missiles, right? They look like they detach and Sonic the Hedgehog would surf on them to get to Dr. Robotnik's.
Or they look a little like disposable fuel tanks, which.
Yeah, they don't look quite like missiles.
Yeah, they're a little chunky for that, unfortunately.
Chunky and flat.
And the way they're set back, because of how they fit them to wings, effectively, they're very set very far back, which. On one hand, I get on it, but on the other, it is a slight disappointment because they've tried to have both things going on, so you can use both sides of the pods mount things. So they basically give him 6 micron ports, which is frankly absurd to be stuck on 2 bits of plastic.
On his wings as well, which are like on his back.
Yeah.
And would make him back heavy.
Which is kind of hilarious. But, I mean, as a recolor, I actually really dig it. I prefer it over the Dark Energon version. For one thing, it's got more paint. I mean, and it looks more like Skywalk, with that really nice silver on the chest and having painted in the cockpit in the abdomen. So yeah, I dig that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. Did they show the Thundercracker? No, it says they've listed him. There was the Thundercracker that exists, and it's like, oh, fair enough. And there's also the Collectors Club figure service of Slipstream. Oh, I don't remember. Oh no, I kind of do remember this. It's got a really fucking ugly face.
The head is weird.
Yeah, because it's almost sort of trying to go for the animated face, but kind of misses the mark as well.
Yeah, it's not even close to the artwork they've done for her either, which is really weird.
No. They didn't paint the lips either, which, as you say, the artwork has them painted. It doesn't. The head mold doesn't have lips molded on like again you would expect this mold to have. It's odd. The actual colors are good, and I think the layout of them, like the almost tie on the tummy, like you mentioned for Skywarp, I think looks good. They've done a good job there. It's the head. Yeah. It's wrong.
I'm looking at the head and I'm thinking, well, that clearly is not Slipstream.
No.
Are we thinking perhaps that they didn't intend to make this repaint Slipstream, but they kind of did the head sculpt and got told you can't do that character? So
maybe to me, it looks like a dude's head, right? More so than a lady head.
Yeah.
If you told me that this was the head that they wanted for Skywarp or for Thundercracker, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Or one of the other sequels.
I'd believe it. Because we never had a Western release of a Prime version of Thundercracker, did we?
No. Well, not a recolor, at least, yeah.
Yeah. So going off past form, that's what I imagined they were planning to do.
Oh, maybe.
And they got told, you can't use that name, or we don't want you to do that repaint. So they pivoted, and it's like, but we already got the head done. We can't spend any more money.
Well, Slipstream now. Yeah. That'll do. Axel Hedge says, I'm only disappointed the show didn't give Starscream the Dark Energon colors whenever he used it in the show. That would have been fun. That would have been something. Yeah. And Mr. White says, Slipstream looks even more horrific than the spammer in chat. I know I can't get rid of them, because if I try and get rid of them, I'll basically take you to Twitch and have to go through that way, so I can't really do that. That's why I wish I had my mod, but Daddy's not here. But yeah, Slipstream, not bad. Color scheme better than the face, unfortunately. And Thundercracker exists, but they didn't have any images on the site here. So imagine the Skywarp figure, but blue.
Yeah.
There you go. You've now figured out what Thundercracker looks like. He was a good one. Bulkhead. Bulkhead is another one that APC Toys has done reasonably recently and is far better, once again, than the original version. He is accurate. He was a fun transformer. He has little springs in his forearms to push those panels outwards. The only thing that I wish he had 2 wrecking balls for his arms instead of just the 1 wrecking ball.
Yeah.
I'd say this is probably better than the animated toy as well, because I think he's taller, and he does this amazing thing of like getting larger as he transforms. Because I remember him being quite hollow because of how the panels all work.
Yeah,
but that helps him kind of expand outwards, which he should do. You know.
Yeah, I think I kind of preferred this version of Bulkhead over. I never owned this toy, but I always liked the Prime version of him over the animated version.
Yeah,
just because it cemented the fact that they kind of wanted to make Bulkhead part of the ongoing cast of characters they could rotate with.
That went out the window.
Well, that's because someone decided they needed to hound in a movie when it's clearly Bulkhead. But it looks good. I loved him becoming a 4x4. as a kind of a lateral shift from the army carrier of the animated take. But this just felt like it was still the same basic personality of Bulkhead, but just a bit more experienced, a bit more competent.
Oh, he was a lot more competent than animated Bulkhead.
Yeah. Animated Bulkhead was much more of an innocent character because of that was the whole shtick. Yeah. This Bulkhead feels like you could see him being maybe the same origin, but this is one who's been fighting a war for.
I was going to describe him as your really nice next door neighbor who is a war veteran.
Yeah.
He's always there to help you out, but if shit gets real, he'll kill you. He might kill you, but he'll kill anyone that hurts you.
Yeah, he's that big dude everyone knows who's a bit of a gut, doesn't try to make a big deal, but as soon as someone pushes him too far, suddenly the person's on the ground and wondering why a Mack truck's hit him in the face.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why TFU decides that he has an attack mode for vehicle mode.
That's a very loose definition of attack mode, that is.
For those not watching the stream, the attack mode is his vehicle mode, and you get the wrecking ball, and you stand it on the top of the back of his vehicle. Where would you, like the bonnet of the, not the bonnet. What would you call that bit? The boot. It's the boot, basically. Yeah. But the boot's not up. Yeah. Do the Americans call it a boot? I don't think they do. I think they have a silly word for it.
They do.
Americans, what's your word for the boot of a car? The trunk? Did they call it a trunk? Yeah, the trunk. It's okay. There we go. You would get there eventually. But yeah, this toy is really good. XL Hedge says first edition Bulkhead is the best Bulkhead. I mean, he's not wrong. I think it's the best version of him. There isn't any redos or reissues or recolors of this. Didn't he? No, that's a lie. I think this mold did get we talked about it earlier. The GOD version. It was the GOD version into Swerve, right?
They did a GOD version of Breakdown into Swerve. This though, I think, had a head swap and got turned into Brawn.
Yeah, that's it. That was the one. That's right. I knew he got redone into someone.
I know I've seen this figure with a Brawn head and in Brawn colours.
I can't remember what was it. GOD or was it another line?
I think it might have been GDO. Yeah,
it was something. It looked weird. It looked weird. It was. Weird. It's not Brawn. It was like the Cliff Jumper figure we were talking about earlier, where the head is on a new body and it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, because they haven't tried to match any of the aesthetics of either.
No.
So it just doesn't work.
Yeah, they did G1 Brawn head on this body, and it just looks weird. Not a fan. But this mold, very good. Lots of fun. It feels good and chunky in your hand as well. That's something about all of the first edition figures. They all had really nice, good quality plastic on them.
I might have to have a look. If I can't get this one, I might have to try and get the APC one at some point. Because
APC do good stuff.
Because I do like how this one looks.
Yeah, I'd recommend grabbing it. I think the APC one comes with 2 wrecking balls as well.
Ooh.
Because, there's fourth party, they're like, fuck it, we'll give them 2. We had 2 in the show. And then the last of the first edition figures, I don't know why they've angled his shoulders like that. But the first edition Optimus Prime is, again, a much improved version over the deluxe version, which isn't a huge shock, I suppose you could say. This one has a really nice transformation. Once again, has really nice feeling plastic. His biggest issue is his sword. 2 issues with the sword. One, it's upside down in terms of how it's sculpted. So when you push it into the hand, the blue blade is pointing upwards rather than downwards, which is what you would expect it to be, right?
Yeah, because that's not a natural way for anyone to hold a sword. I don't care what species you are.
No, it's a weird way to do it, and it was soft plastic again. So,
oh dear.
It's not like, if you're careful with it, it's fine, but it's still very squishy, very malleable plastic, which is never a good thing. It does come with 1 gun as well, so he only has 1 blade and 1 gun. He should have came with 2 blades. He should have came with 2 guns. But he was a Hasbro figure, so yeah, good luck with that. He also has a quote-unquote attack mode, which is, do you want to store his weapons? That's an attack mode. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. How do you think this one fares up, Big D, compared to the deluxe?
I think this looks so much nicer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much animation accurate, really, isn't it?
I think the only thing that might not be is in the vehicle mode below the window. I don't think those bits were the dark gray plastic. I think there was a bit more red around there.
No,
but that's about it.
Yeah. Otherwise, that for a mainline action figure, that's about as good as you could want, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and he had ball joints in his ankles as well, so he could get ankle tilts.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just been having a quick peruse on Shozy, and yes, they have APC Toys Bulkhead in stock. That's not good for me.
For how much?
For the princely sum of £37.11.
I mean, that's not much more than a brand new Voyager.
Yeah,
from
and
Legacy.
You get much more. You get 2 hammers and a meteor hammer and I think you get a little Miko figure as well.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not terrible.
Yeah. That's actually not bad, yeah.
XL Hedge says, my only gripe with first edition Bulkhead is when I missed the window for the American edition, went and ordered the Japanese edition with much better paint. Didn't they go all metallic-y paint for the Japanese version? I can't remember. Only for Hasbro to announce they were reissuing the first edition in the middle of the Prime RID line. Did they do another edition of that figure? I can't remember. I guess I didn't care because I already had it, so I was like, whatever.
I can't remember, actually, to be fair.
Again, the Optimus Prime, very good. I like it a lot. I think the only issue I had is he only came with a masked face, and when I think of... It's like when you think of animated Optimus Prime and Prime, I think of them without their masks most of the time.
Yes, yeah.
Because most of the time they don't have the masks up.
And in particular, at least their versions of the character without a mask didn't look really disturbing. They looked... it fit the characters, and it was well done. Whereas what can I be talking about when I say that unmasked Prime looked horribly disturbing?
You know. I think we need to move away from Optimus Prime having a mouth and then having this mouth guard because, it feels lazy. I get why, because they want to convey more emotion with him out having a mask, but I felt that other Optimus Primes were able to convey emotion through the voice acting and the animation well enough that he didn't need the mouth and his eye animations.
I know not everyone can be a Peter Cullen level of voice actor, but come on.
David Cage was good. Come on.
Yes, David Cage was very good.
I don't know. But this figure, good. Now, unfortunately, between the first edition and a couple of months later, we had a massive oil crisis. I can't remember what caused the oil crisis. What was the cause of it? Was it a war? Another war?
What was it?
Was it Mr. White wanting something to put on his ice cream?
Possibly.
Damn it, Mr. White. We had a big oil crisis, which meant oil prices increased, and Hasbro decided to cut back on their production. So things got a lot more simplistic. Things got a lot more lighter. There was a distinct difference in feeling of plastic quality. And we came into a good period of time where Transformers, I think, dipped in terms of quality.
Yes.
They picked up a bit, but I never felt that they really... they never got to the heights of the first edition again. And we never got to the heights of, even though I wasn't a big fan of the movie toy line for Revenge of the Fallen, we never got back to those kind of, crazy transformations ever again for, mainline stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's kind of two sides to Revenge of... Not going back to that level of complexity, because some of the Revenge of the Fallen figures, even... I mean, the first time I got a couple of the... I have Prime and Jetfire.
Yes.
And even I know I bought them secondhand, but even with instructions, which they came with, I struggled to transform both of those. And that was me as a 32-year-old man.
Oh, there's a reason why they were made into masterpieces for Japan, because Japan looked at them and went, nah, kids ain't going to play with this, fuck that.
Yeah, I bought them from a car boot sale as a drop lot from a kid who looked so despondent.
Are you saying that the toys traumatized him?
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the leader class Ironhide from the Dark of the Moon collection is magnitude simpler.
Yes,
So
Hasbro had learned its lesson by that point, thankfully.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they took some of those lessons a bit too far, and they just kept cutting all the other stuff out.
Yeah,
which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, it led to some flawed pieces, shall we say.
not great. Mr. Exelhead says, oil crisis, we're sorry. And Mr. White says, oil prices increased at the time due to uncertainty in the market. Not in the market. Uncertainty in the Middle East with the Arab Spring uprisings.
Oh, yeah. That was it, yeah.
Damn them.
I mean, admittedly, there was also the fact that I think the Saudis decided to cut oil production.
As you do.
Yeah.
Why not? But that led to, this leads us to the Voyager Optimus Prime. We're going kind of in the order that we kind of just went in. So it'll be Optimus, Megatron, Cliffjumper, Viacon, Bumblebee, RC, Starscream, and ending off with Bulkhead. So it's not fair to compare this Optimus Prime to the deluxe one, but we did just look at the Voyager Optimus Prime. So we can have a look at that. Straight away, he has translucent forearms. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know why. He just does.
It's an odd choice.
I think you can easily tell just by looking at it. It is a downgrade in terms of just even the paint, the color. There's it looks more. The first edition looked like, you could argue, more of a collector's item kind of thing, while this one looks more like a toy. I think this mold is used primarily for the Ultra Magnus that comes later, which I do have, and the mold, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad mold. It's just a big downgrade from the first edition one.
Yes, that I think is a very fair assessment. If you'd been after the Prime and missed the first edition, and then you saw this, I imagine you'd have been real disappointed.
Yeah, it's a step down. And this is where they started introducing automorph weapons, which. By that I mean you had to pull and hold a switch to get these weapons to unfold. So if you wanted Prime to have his gun, he could only do it if you were holding down a trigger. It would never stay out, unfortunately. It would never lock into position. You could store it on his shoulder for some reason if you wanted. So that's
yeah. And see, that's what really annoyed me about all of these automorph weapons. The fact that almost none of them could actually be locked.
Yeah, it was a bad idea. Bad idea. Prime did come with a sword as well, but it is just a sword, not the sword that he had in the show. So again, looks a little on the weird side. They showed what the weapon storage was like, and it was a little bit awkward. If a positive thing for this one, there is not any of that dark gray plastic around the rim of the truck, so it's a bit more clean. Yeah. But there's also detail there, like it looks like there's a door mirror, door window that just isn't painted.
Yeah.
Was this reused? Yes, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it like you say, it's a downgrade. It's clearly been made cheaper than the original version.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame, really.
The head is weird as well, because the head looks like it's a different figure. Because of all the extra details that they've just left off. I don't know which head sculpt I prefer, because they are quite different. I think you could, if you could have sold this a little bit better if this one was the faceplate-less mask. So if you didn't have the faceplate on this one, you could have justified it on, okay, it's a cheaper Optimus Prime, but this is the one with his normal face. That's compatible with the first edition, so you could plop the head off and put it on the other one if you wanted. I think that would have been quite nice.
That's actually surprising that they didn't do that, to be fair.
Extra mold. Oh, no, well, they had to mold this head. So that argument doesn't make any sense either. I don't know. I guess they just wanted to keep the standard Optimus Prime look, probably. This was redone into Dark Energon stuff. So it was done into the Dark Energon Optimus Prime, where the color scheme's actually kind of interesting.
And does have a different head.
Yes, it's got the maskless face for some reason, and it looks quite good.
Yeah, it's not a bad set of colors. It actually it works. I can't quite put my finger on why it works, but it does.
No, I think it's because they've got the color placement right. So you got the translucent orange and red on parts of the arms as like highlight colors. Same for the shoulders, and then the primary color is like a very, very dark ocean depths blue, and then a lighter, almost Fenrisian gray kind of bluish color as well for again kind of highlights around the face. So he looks really fucking evil because he's got bright red eyes as well. I will say I don't like the vehicle mode as much, and I think it's because there's too much of that translucent red, and he has this really obnoxious Autobot tampograph on the front of his hood as well, which is not.
That is a tad obnoxious, although if you go and review if it's an evil version of Prime, it kind of fits. But he might decide to go, I'm an Autobot.
You know, I'm thinking, would it look better if there were like scratch marks over it, so it looked like someone had gouged it or something, like it was an Autobot insignia that he cut, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm evil now." Yeah, would that look better? Maybe.
Yeah, if it was intentionally designed to look like a worn badge, you could see all that translucent through it. Yeah, I can picture that.
Maybe that would have worked a bit more. I don't know. It's weird. Again, he comes with the sword, the translucent automorph weapon, which again don't work. But yeah, there's something about all of this Dark Energon line. All of them look kind of interesting. Yeah, they all had these weird things, but then in the back of your head, you're going, "Man, but translucent plastic."
Yes.
But in terms of color placement, I think that the thing about the line for the Dark Energon stuff was color placement was really interesting for them.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because we got Slicer as well, which was the one that I really wanted to pick up, but I didn't in the end. It's probably for the best.
I'm not sure if I ever, because I know I had Wheeljack. I don't know if I ever ended up getting Slicer.
I mean, it's just the blue version, so.
Yeah.
Still would have been nice, though. All translucent plastic again. XL Hedge says, I had to use RC's gun, and yes, I bought 2 to substitute his Automorph gun. Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. I mean, you didn't have to do that. I hope you got them on sale, at least. And Mr. White says, the light blue/gray is kind of heroic, but the vehicle mode looks like a B&M knockoff. Yeah. Yeah. He's not wrong. I think, again, it's because of that logo.
Yeah.
And this is the version I have of the mold, which was remolded into Ultra Magnus. So the chest was changed, the shoulders were changed, and obviously he's got a new head as well. And this is better than the first version of Ultra Magnus that they released, which we're not talking about on this show. There was another one that was released later on where he didn't look anything like he did in the show. And he was also the wrong color scheme. So I got this one.
I've got.
Yeah.
Version I have because it was all I could find.
Yeah, I got this one because I saw this one coming out. I was like, I don't have the mold. I'm okay with this. Let's rock and roll. So the new shoulders can be used as missile launchers, which are really awkward because they're not missile launchers. They're those missiles where you pull them and then you release them.
Oh,
whatever those ones are called.
I think they're called friction launchers.
No, aren't friction ones the ones where they've got like a big circle on the bottom of them and they click into place and then you push them and then they go? Is that not friction one? Because these ones aren't friction, they have springs, so you have to hold them and then you release them. I guess it's just a spring missile just without a lock.
Yeah.
I guess. They're a little bit awkward, obviously, and it looks weird for his shoulders just to flap forwards and then fire with missiles. Fine. Not a great gimmick, but whatever. He did come with the Forge of Solus Prime, which I don't think is colored correctly because it is just in silver plastic. But oh no, these are friction ones. You're right, Mr. Big D. I'm looking down at the accessories and they showed that they have like a little round nipple on the bottom of them. So there must be friction ones. You're right, my bad. And he also comes with the wing launcher, quote unquote, which is just the jetpack that Beast Hunters Prime had. I don't remember if Magnus had it.
I don't think he ever used it in the show.
I don't think he did. I assume it's there, and I assume it's there because it's maybe compatible with the standard Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. Yeah.
But I don't know that for sure because I didn't have that mold. So I can't remember how it attaches. It's been a while since I fiddled with the figure.
But it's nice that he comes with actually a decent amount of kit, to be fair.
Yeah, like there's a decent amount that's been remolded for this figure. He's even got like micron ports for some reason from an American release on the front of his vehicle mode, which is a little awkward. It looks really out of place, but it means that they're on the underside. No, on the sides of his forearms. Again, I don't know why he has them because they didn't sell microns with them. But maybe the Japanese made this for their line, and America went, "We'll have that."
That would not surprise me. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, maybe that's the reason. I'm guessing, but I don't know. Did they have a microns version? I think it was released. It doesn't say, but I assume they must have because it only makes sense. But yeah, this mold's okay. It's not a terrible mold. It's still a downgrade from the first edition. If you're going to get this mold, be like me. I'd rarely ever say that, but be like me and get the Ultra Magnus version because it's better than the Ultra Magnus Big D has. But you only got that because there was no other options, right?
I mean, in fairness, at the time, I didn't know we were going to get another version down the pipe. And then when we did...
No, because this was
he
late.
was not available anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's interesting this came out for the Beast Hunters line, but he didn't have the claw hand. He had normal hand.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he had to have the claw hand, but it might have been nice if he had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was nice that we actually got this version of him in any case. So.
Yeah, exactly. XL Head says, yes, Optimus can be given the Magnus jetpack. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool.
I assumed that was probably the case, but I wasn't sure. Mr. White says, now I must be like Andy, but I lack the hair and height. You can take enough depression. You'll get there. I believe in you, Mr. White. You'll get there. The only thing that isn't great about this is the backpack. If you look at the back of him, you can see on the side of the vehicle modes, right? The side, those big panels there, just kind of awkwardly sit on the back of his bottom.
Oh dear.
It's not the worst thing. It's fine. I think I think they're on ball joints, so you can probably pop them off and put them in a bit spin or something like that if you really want to smooth him out. But this is the best version of that mold. End of. And then arguably the weird Dark Energon version, arguably, if you want to run the risk of translucent plastic, but you've run the risk of translucent plastic anyway with the Optimus Prime version because of the forearms. So I guess get the weird one if you want. Next up, we have Megatron. Man, what a downgrade from the first edition, and yet how similar he is to the first edition.
Yeah.
Did you have this one? Because you said you had the RID ones, right, Big D?
I didn't pick up Megatron. My Prime collection was a bit weird because I've got a couple of the RID ones, but it was limited by what was actually available locally.
Oh. Because
it was around the time that Transformers started getting real hard to buy local.
Ah, okay. I do remember hunting around for Argos, because I remember they said Argos had RID figures in, and I was like, oh shit, let's go. And I could literally only find Cliff Jumper. And that's probably another reason why I hate Cliff Jumper, because I was annoyed that he was the only one I got.
And it was when Argos was like, we have figures from this collection available. I was like, great. And it'll be random.
Yep. It's like getting a Happy Meal toy. It's like, can I have a Transformer? Yes. And you're like, no, not that one.
Yeah,
no, not that one, a different one.
I remember me and a friend of mine, we'd go out TF hunting kind of like once or twice a month on a Saturday. And we'd normally hit the biggest Argos in town to see what they had.
What a day. What a night on the town.
Yeah, we knew how to live it up. Well, it was close to Toys R Us, so it made sense.
Yeah.
But we'd see what was in the catalogue and then go, do we take a punt?
That's how I always felt, because you didn't want to annoy the staff and be like, no, not that one, get the other one, or bring all of them out. But you kind of had to.
I've never done that. I've always...
Never? I did. You just took what you were given.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You don't want to be a dick.
Yeah, but I don't want to waste my money on one that I already have. That's why I'd say, like, I'd either say specifically, do you have this one, or can you bring out like a couple of different ones? Be like, I'll have that one. I wouldn't do it on busy days like a Saturday though. That, like, if you do it on a Saturday, you're an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, if it was quiet and there was no one else around, then I might see if I could get that done. But if they told me to pound sand, I'd be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I get it. Yeah, no, that's fair. I will pound sand. This Megatron is shockingly bad. He's barely got any paint on him. The only paint he really has on him is there's a bit on the front of his knees for some reason, and then his face is painted silver. The rest is unpainted, not even standard gray Hasbro plastic. It's kind of like a beige kind of gray. And the weird thing about it is on his chest, it doesn't show up super well on the photos, but his chest is textured. It's got all these kind of lines down it, like it's not printed correctly from a 3D printer.
I can see in one of those pictures. That is really weird.
It's not on the rest of the figure, but it's on his chest pieces, and I don't know why. His shoulder pads are on purple sticks that have a ball joint in them, so his shoulders for his arms aren't actually connected to his shoulder pads. So the shoulder pads just kind of awkwardly float as you move the shoulders around. I'm pretty sure they're not on great shoulder joints either. I don't think you can. I can't remember. I think you can get them to T-pose, but I can't remember 100% well there. But I remember them not working super well. This is a really fucking ugly figure. A ugly figure. He also has translucent plastic for his purple parts for his chest. Why? Who fucking knows? It makes no sense. Again, why they did this. The transformation is, I think, pretty similar to the deluxe version. The main difference is the bit around the head in vehicle mode that can split apart now for some reason, and I don't really know why.
Okay.
But again, you compare this Voyager figure to the deluxe figure. It looks worse because it's got way, way less paint. It's way less accurate visually. And it has a similar, if not identical, transformation, if not worse.
Yeah, that don't look great, does it?
The positive I'll give it is on the front of the legs in robot mode, you don't have the big square for the obvious part where you can fold the thing and swing it around. That's a bit nicer. You can still see the gap in the leg where it kind of splits apart to make the wing. Yeah. But it's not that much of an improvement, really, I don't think. Yeah. And that's the only bit as an improvement, you know? His fusion cannon is now not accurate. It is bigger. It has a light up feature and a plunger feature. So in the show, he would also get a blade underneath his fusion cannon. If you didn't know, if you want that blade, you have to push the big purple nipple on the back of the gun down and hold it in place. The two halves of the sword would kind of awkwardly come together and look a bit flubbly, not desperately smooth. And again, like you said, Big D, it wouldn't lock into position. So look, thankfully, he has a working fusion cannon that you don't need to worry about. The bad thing is, if you want him to use a sword, you have to flummox around with it. He also has an additional weird weapon. I don't even know what to kind of call it. It's kind of like a fork knuckle duster.
They've called it a cannon, which I think's been generous.
How is that a cannon?
I think whoever was filing it thinks it must have some barrels somewhere, but it's weird. Yeah,
it's like a fancy knuckle duster is how I would describe it. Like something you'd see in a gladiatorial ring.
It's like a weird sci-fi guitar thing.
Yeah. That's not a bad way to phrase it. Yeah, it's not good. This is not a very good mold, and unfortunately, with bizarre fucking plastic, it doesn't help. And again, for a deluxe to be, I'd say, significantly better and visually more attractive, that's not a good thing. And this was one of the first figures. I think this was the first wave of Voyagers.
Yeah,
it had to
sounds about right. I mean, hell, the deluxe even has a much nicer head sculpt.
Yeah, and it's not massively different, but it is sharper.
Yeah, That's really weird, but it's worked out like that.
Yeah. This did get one other version for Beast Hunters. Oh no, two. I lie. It got a Dark Energon version where they painted him up a bit more. Does he have the? He still has the weird plastic on his boobs again, the textured boobs.
I think he's got a better head sculpt.
I think it's the same. I think it just looks better because it's not that grey plastic, you know.
Yeah, I think it's probably. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
So his colors are now he's black and pinky, violety, purple. So visually, it's kind of interesting. The color scheme is the IDW Stealth Bomber Megatron color scheme, basically. That purple, that pink, that black.
I mean, that kind of works. It's unfortunate on the fusion cannon.
Yep. Yes, it does look a little bit like a penis. Yes.
Yeah. But for that black plastic on the knuckle duster improves that piece.
Yeah,
it's still not great. But
it's still a bizarre weapon.
Nicer.
Yeah, it's a weird weapon, but it's better than
in that color scheme.
It's better than brownish color that it was. That really does look like the head of a penis. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
No escaping that.
The fact that this has got so much actual paint on it just improves that sculpt so much.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not all one brown beige plastic, and like you say, he's got pink on the legs, pink a little bit on the nipples. Is it more paint? It
might. You know what? It might not actually be more paint, but it just because there's just more color in general.
Yeah, I think there might be a little more paint. I think it might be right. Not a lot more, but a little more. But you're right. It does look a lot better, a lot nicer.
And it's not even a solid black they seem to have used. It's more of a slightly, like Incubi darkness.
Oh yeah, like it's bluey.
Imagine that,
pinky.
just one shade more in towards black.
Yeah.
So it doesn't read completely solid. If that makes sense.
And I'd say parts of it are solid black, like just below the pecs. That bit's solid black, the weapon's solid black, the fusion colored's solid black, and his the outside of the head is solid black. But then you've got, like you say, the badly textured chest piece, the legs. Yeah.
So it gives it more variety.
Instead of the.
It feels like it gives it more care than the standard version. It's just so bizarre.
I just wish that the textured parts weren't textured again. I don't. It suggests that it was something to do with the mold rather than the printer, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever reason.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And then there's the Beast Hunter Sharkticon Megatron, which is heavily remolded, is really interesting, but on a flawed mold. I kind of wish it was on the deluxe mold.
Yeah.
But the amount of remolding is impressive. His legs have been remolded. His forearms have been remolded. The chest piece has been remolded. The shoulder pieces have been remolded. And the head has also been remolded as well. Even though it looks like a Megatron head, it is a completely new head sculpt because it's like finny and angular and beastie. And I love the chest. The chest is really cool. And they've almost sort of justified the kind of jet mode into a weird fish jet mode thing.
It's kind of adorably horrific, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that you'd easily see in the Monster Hunter Pretenders kind of era of things. Like, it's what the fuck is this? Oh, this is from the 90s. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm fine with that. And you know what they got rid of? The shitty plastic, it looks like. I don't see any shitty textured plastic, which is nice.
I mean, the fact that they've replaced the entire chest does help a lot there.
And the back piece would also have had it as well. But it looks like they've added they added a cap over the Megatron's head as well, so the head is actually hidden now, which is nice.
Yeah, I actually like the colours they've opted for. That slightly brown shade to the main plastic is nice. And again, they've gone for a real hot pink, but it's not just the rehash of the Dark Energon version. There's that lovely turquoise in there, and it's nice. And in fact, that weapon is pretty funky.
I think it's still an automorph, though, unfortunately.
It might, but at least it looks like it's fun.
Yes.
Unlike,
Again,
and,
it looks like something you'd get with a Happy Meal toy. It's a fish gun. It's fun though. I don't know what. It says it turns into a sword. Okay, that makes sense. Fish gun to sword.
Yeah, that works.
XL Hedge says the Shotgun Megatron is sadly the best of the mold. I would agree. It's still got the problem of the shoulders being weird on the figure, but that's an issue with that. Mr. White says all of these useless weapon gimmicks remind me of Sparkbots, but at least they had a nice gimmick, albeit potentially life-threatening. Isn't that the risk you have when you play with Transformer toys? Don't you want to put your life in your hands when you're playing with toys? I do. As you know, you're a man. Grr. Playing with children's toys. Yes, generally that's a big step down. Another step down, which you like, Big D, is the Cliff Jumper mold. Now, I'll tell you why I didn't like this mold. I didn't mind the chest. I didn't think that was terrible. I thought the Automorph gimmick of like you pull his shoulders down and his head comes up through his chest was kind of redundant and pointless. But the thing I hated most is his arms. His arms are the two it's basically the entire sides of the car mode folded together with the window screen awkwardly pivoted over the big gap in between. And then you've got the ball joint for the hand at this really wonky angle.
I can. And you know what? I've just remembered. My Cliff Jumper broke on me within the first week of owning it. But it wasn't the Automorph or the arms that broke.
What was it that broke?
I think it was, or rather, it wasn't any of the translucent plastic that broke. It was, I think it was one of the, it was either something around the wrist area or one of the elbows.
Okay.
Something around there snapped, and I just got real twitchy about doing much of it ever again.
To be fair, there's not much translucent plastic that's on like important joints for it. Apart from obviously the window screens on the side fold, but that's only a small thing. It's not on a big joint. You can also see like around the elbow joint, there's a big gap between where the forearm is and where the elbow joint is. Like in terms of gap, I mean like distance between them. So again, it's one of these weird downgrade. I mean, again, if you look proportionally at the figures, the only thing I'd say is maybe okay about this is there's an expression sculpted into this face rather than the first edition where he's just got a standard face.
Like I will say, the legs I always quite liked on this guy because he could pose quite nicely around. At least for his legs, good. You get some nice.
They're quite big,
motion,
weren't they? Like big feet.
Yeah, he had nice stable feet, and a little bit of a novelty at that point for the fact he had, ankle feet with a good range of motion was kind of novel.
Yeah. This was not the happy day when I got this and was like, what the fuck is this? I thought his weapon was kind of interesting. The bizarre axe engine, bludgeoning hammer. I thought that was okay for a weapon. It wasn't accurate, obviously. And it could be a really shitty gun as well. That's fine. I don't mind that for a weapon. I just think it was, again, a pretty poor figure. It was never recolored, apparently, and it was never remolded. Oh, no, this figure was remolded into the Terracon. Oh, for Japan. This was the mold that they used for the Terracon? They must have had two versions. Yeah.
I think they must have done.
They must have, because I'm sure that the Japanese version was the first edition. I'm sure it was. Oh, well. Mr. White said, oh, no, I've read that one. XL Head says, if you smell what the cliff is cooking. Yeah, it's a shit figure. That's why it's cooking. Bullshit. The next figure is the improvement, I would say, generally speaking, over the first edition. It's the Viacon. It's very generous on here as giving it 2 attack modes, which is just where do you want to put the gun, on the front or on the back? All right, guys, if you say so. Did you have the Viacon, Big D? Did you have this guy?
No, my only Viacon's actually the one that came with Breakdown in that Generation Select box set a few years back.
Was that the first edition one, or was that the red one? I can't remember.
I think it was actually the Air Viacon.
Okay. Oh, well, the Air Viacon's basically this Viacon.
Yeah, so
Yeah, this is a really fantastic mold. I love how the entire top of the car compresses down into his legs. He's got a little bit of kibble on the side of his legs, so it's not that bad. My only real, like, I think that's a little bit ugly are how they do the elbow joints. They are on ball joints on a hinge, but the ball joints are pointing outwards of the body. They're not in the center of the body. They're pointing outwards. So the arm is on the elbow is on an ball joint, but it's at this strange angle. And it looks like it's almost like the gorilla posed arms, but then if the gorilla posed arms could just randomly bend as well, so it doesn't look. It's hard to describe. It just doesn't look quite right.
It's odd. I mean, it certainly helps emphasize how weird the Viacons kind of are.
Yeah, they look spindly, and it does a good job emphasizing that. Yeah,
but it is an odd choice.
I think there had to be a better solution. I think. I don't know what
Imagine if they tried to do it nowadays. Well, we kind of know what they're doing nowadays because they're just reusing, not in for runabout mode, for reusing chase.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which I didn't see coming, to be honest.
No. It did have technically a little bit of automorph as well, where you get the back bumper, and you push that in, and the head kind of slots down a little bit, but it's not anything too intrusive again. This mold was reused not many times, to be fair, but we'll go through them. It was done for this figure was just recolored for the Dread Pirate Crew Pounce clone, which is a really, really nice recolor of the figure into white and blue and stuff.
I remember when I first saw them announced these, and I thought, okay, that's cute. I like that. That's fun.
Would it have been nice if it had a new Pounce head? Yes. Yeah, it would have been nice. I don't think it's necessary. It's pretty enough and visually different enough. You know, going from a black car to a white car, it's always an easy give, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah.
And then it was done into the Wingspan clone, which is obviously the remold, which is the Jet Viacon. The Jet Viacon is pretty much the same as the normal Viacon. They've just changed the side panel. They've changed bits on it and also giving it wings. But it's effectively the same robot.
I always loved how hilariously daft the Jet Viacon alt mode is, because it's
just a car with wings.
I
like it.
Yeah,
it's almost Trax's jet mode kind of idea, just like random car that has wings. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It also came with one of the Arms Micron figures, because the Jet Viacon, for those that don't know, was a Japan exclusive for the longest time. You can now get it through APC Toys, which is how I have it. Does it show the Commander version? No, it doesn't. Like you said, Big D, there was the Commander version of the Jet Viacon, which was just the Jet Viacon, but silver. And it was quite nice. It's like, okay, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the same. I really like this mold. I think it transforms really well. It was really easy to army build because it actually came out in this country, so you could actually do it.
It's a novelty.
It wasn't, yeah. It was a novelty. It's just fun. It was an easy transformation as well. And when you have like an army building troop, you want them to be fairly quick to transform, because you don't want to Binal Tech Grimlock kind of affair and have 50 figures to transform. You know, that's a nightmare.
And I know some people have bought dozens of this bugger.
Loads.
Which is kind of fun to see, you know?
I got 2 of them. I thought 2 was enough, and I got 1 Jet Air Viacon from APC Toys, and that was enough. I don't have the room, no budget, no compunction to army build. It also feels weird to army build Transformers. G.I. Joe makes sense, but I still wouldn't do that with the 6-inch figures. They're too big.
It's asking a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 3/4-inch figures. I think you can army build them because obviously they're way smaller, and cheaper. But the big Transformers, I don't know. XL Hedge says, Hasbro, please give us a reissue 5-pack of the Prime Viacons. Heck, make them grey or gold, or slap TF1 on the box, just reissue them. That'd be interesting if you did the Jet Viacon in a couple of different colors and have it as like a Viacon pack. That could be quite cool.
Yeah.
They did try and do the Army Builder pack, if you remember, though, didn't they? Because they had the Auto Trooper, the remold of Skullgrin's figure with the skull head, and it was whatever color it was.
Cybertronian G2 Trooper, the Auto Trooper.
What else was in
it? The Seeker.
Oh, that's right.
What was the other one?
There was one more.
The Quintesson Guard.
Oh, yeah. So out of that pack, there was only 2 that I wanted. I didn't want. That's the yeah. They were all mold. There were a lot of molds that people didn't want. So that's the issue with the multi pack.
It's not
if
even
it's a Viacon multi pack, they're all the same mold effectively. So I don't think anyone would complain.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it's even a fact for that Army Builder pack they had molds people didn't want. It's a fact that no one really wanted all 4 molds.
One specific one at the very least. At the very least.
But somebody would have bought a couple to go with Jahaxis. The Auto Trooper, they had 2 different heads, so they could have done a set of foes, which people would have probably gone in on. The Seeker, the Tetrajet Seekers are still a decent mold for.
I don't know about that. I haven't handled one. I don't think they look great, but I haven't handled one. So
I like the Tetrajet far more than the F-15 Seekers they did.
Okay, you don't like the Earthrise one?
I'll be honest. I prefer having the Cybertronian versions of them.
Well, to be fair, technically, I'd argue the Cybertronian one is a newer figure than the Earthrise one, since we talked about how the Earthrise one is just the classics again.
Yeah, I mean, the Tetrajet has a lot more interesting engineering in place. I love how they did the shoulder pylons by having the nose cone split and fold around. That's a bit of engineering. When the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's actually quite inventive. I like that. That's fun.
I'm trying to think if I should ever get that Tetrajet. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I've got a Skywarp on order, and then I'll have 6 of them.
Fucking hell. Maybe I should get a weird one like Nacelle.
See, I'm annoyed that I missed out on Red Wing Nacelle, and I was tempted to buy the Sparkless Seeker to use like a third for another trio of
God,
odd ones, but it's like no, I can't justify it.
No, you mad man.
I've got a Hot Link as well, which was quite a nice. It's clearly not Skywarp, but just enough not Skywarp to make it so that you can't use it as Skywarp.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Next up, we have B, who again decides that automorphing is the way forward. You can see how ugly his neck joint is as well, because his head is on a panel which flips forward and goes into the. Is it the engine block for the front of the car?
I think it is.
I never got this mold because of how fucking ugly it was. I think I played with it once at Dave's house and went, I don't want to touch this figure again because I didn't like it. It tries to ape the proportions of the first edition one, but it doesn't hit it, I don't think.
No, it doesn't. That chest is just off. The chest and the shoulders don't really work.
No, and they don't even get the back wings correct either, I don't think. Yeah, the head's too high up, isn't it? Because it's on that extra panel. It's lifted high.
There are 2 things, though, I'll give this credit for.
Oh.
One, they've used a much darker plastic for the translucent.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Although, ironically, there's not as much going on inside the vehicle mode for them to need to hide anything. But,
a plus is a plus. Give it to it. Yep. That's fair.
And also, he comes with 2 guns.
Yes, the first edition for some reason went 1.
Yeah.
Even though B, I think 90% of the time used 2. Most of them did.
So that it's a small thing, but it's a nice touch. For
a low bar, but I'll agree with you. A low bar is something at the very least. He did get recolored into Shadow Strike Bumblebee and to Dark Energon Bumblebee. Let's look at the Dark Energon one first, because they're always a bit of a treat. This one's a bit lame. This is Goldbug colors, effectively. Bumblebee with a blue head but a silver face, blue shoulders, translucent yellow that looks a bit more like marmalade. The under detail of the translucent plastic having like a techno board look to it looks quite nice, but I think all of them had that look. This isn't slapping me like the other ones did. I'll be honest, Big D.
Yeah, it's not really got much going on. Otherwise,
no.
Does it? It's a shame because I'm always kind of a bit of a sucker for seeing the classic Goldberg colors get reused, but this just.
It doesn't have the same pop as Slicer or Skywarp or menacing Optimus Prime. B&M Optimus Prime, as Mr. White called him. So I'm a little sad of that. The other one, the Shadow Strike Bumblebee, is good. This is the time when this color scheme kind of came around quite a lot. They decided not to go for black and go for gray, but I think the gray still kind of works.
It does. And I think because of the fact that it's a gray they've used on the shoulders as well as it's the same color plastic because of how the head transforms, it's the same plastic they've used for the neck area.
Yeah.
It kind of, it doesn't hide it, but it kind of blends it a little better so it doesn't look as out of place. If you look closer, you can still tell, but it...
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, I see it. I think in the show as well, for season 3, wasn't he black and yellow rather than gray and yellow? Yeah, so he's not the right color scheme even for season 3.
No, but they used that color. It's the colors they did the repaint of his Beast Hunters figurine.
Yeah.
Is for black and gold. So
weird. Very weird. Mr. White says that gray and yellow bead looks badass. Yeah, it's just a shame that the mold's not very good again.
Ooh, imagine the first edition being these colors.
That would have been quite nice, yeah. Yeah, it would have been maybe one of his better repaints, to be fair. Not that he had a huge swath of colors, I suppose. But yeah, this one's not a good mold, but I think it's the best looking out of the 3 of them. It was also remolded into Prime Hotshot, Beast Hunters B, Nova Blast B, and Night Shadow B, which is probably the one you were talking about. So Hotshot is not the Hotshot you'd think. It has the same Hotshot face from Armada, but decided to put him in blue and red color scheme, which is more, what's his name? Skids, thank you. Yeah, it's more Skids color scheme for some reason. I think the head sculpt is pretty good for a Prime interpretation of like Hotshot. I think that works.
Yeah, I mean, points for giving him the goggles as well. That's a nice touch.
Do you think they can fall down? I think they can.
I think they do. Yeah. I really like the bodywork effect, the flame effects they put onto the old. That's actually really nice.
I would have liked a bit more. I would have liked some on the hood of the car, and I would have liked the ones on the front of the car to have the transition to orange, like the ones on the side as well.
Yes, yeah,
but
that would have been.
Like you say, it's good that they're there. It doesn't look half-assed like sometimes when we've seen fire on side of cars. Sometimes you look at them and you're like, oh, you just gave up halfway because of the budget. It looks finished here.
Yeah, for a figure that it's not in the show at all.
No.
This actually looks really good. For all that he still has the same flaws as the base figure, it's actually a really nice repaint. So.
Yeah. I don't think it would make me want to buy it, though. I mean, I didn't buy it. I mean, like now, I wouldn't go out my way to pick it up. But at least it's something. Then you have Beast Hunters B, or Owl B, because his face looks like an owl.
Does a bit.
It's the same mold, but what if we gave him spikes?
Yes.
And is he wider? He looks wider in robot mode. I don't know if that's an illusion.
I think it's because of how the shoulder pylons have that little extra mass to them.
Yeah.
It just gives the illusion that he's a bit broader.
Yeah, I think you might be right. He has a vehicle mode, attack mode 2, and flight mode, which is basically he has a crossbow, an eagle crossbow, and 6 extra missiles. And the attack mode is basically just what if we just add everything onto him.
God, I always forget how slightly bonkers Beast Hunters figures ended up being.
And it's always kind of a shame that they weren't like this in the show. Because it was kind of interesting to see them all armored up.
Yeah, and then you had some cases. I think I've got. Was it Hot Shot or Prowl they did where he's got this weird rubber cage you wrap around his vehicle mode. You can't use it in the robot mode, but it basically it's like a framework that gives him.
Is it like a roll bar cage or something?
Basically loads of spikes and things on the alt mode.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of clips over the front and back of the car. So weird.
Yeah. Again, it's like you mentioned with Hotshot, it's still inherently the same, like, not very good transformation scheme.
Yeah.
But I like this more because it's just weird looking.
It is. All of the Beast Hunter figures have the benefit of being, frankly, batshit insane.
Yeah. I will say I wish like some of them had different color schemes to them. I think this B works, but things like Wheeljack, I don't like Wheeljack's color scheme. I think Wheeljack could have done with a different paint job on him to spray.
Wheeljack, because he's just Wheeljack with more stuff on, doesn't really work very well.
It's like we'll talk about it when we get to him next time, but the Ratchet figure, Beast Hunter's Ratchet, is pretty cool, but it's better from, was it RID where they colored him green?
I think so, yeah.
I think that one looked better because it was more cohesive color scheme rather than just like skin color on random places on him. But there's also which bee is this? This Bumblebee is the Target store exclusive from 2013. Oh, this is just a worse version. This is much worse. The head's way crap compared to the previous Beast Hunters bee. And they've given him a lot more blue. What do you think of this one, Big D? I think it's just
odd,
worse.
Isn't it?
Worse, just easily worse. The blue doesn't work as well with the yellow in my eyes.
Yeah, and although the face seems like it's got a bit more paint and definition to it, somehow it just doesn't work as well as the previous version did.
No, not a fan of this at all. This is poo.
And the shift to black for the accessories as well. That's.
I will say, I think the Shadow Strike one is a lot better. This is probably the best version of the mold. Probably
in the black and gold. Yeah. That's tasty.
It's like when B's child has been killed in front of him, and he's like, "No, now I take revenge on everyone and everything." Yeah. This is the emo arc.
This is the color scheme B has. Not this form, because they just recolored the base mold in the cartoon, but they gave him black and gold for like the last season and a half, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Right. And it works really well.
Yeah. And the extra armor, again, being all nice and blacked up as well. It looks good. Looks good. Yeah, very nice.
And that use of a nice Fenrisian grey works nicely for the extra components as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not as overpowering as blue.
Oh, yeah. Mr. White says that gun-covered bee feels almost like a Roadbuster or Wrecker. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Shadow Strike bee would look great painted like a Necron. Oh, that's interesting. That's not a bad idea. It could work potentially.
Yeah, give him some glowing green eyes.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. And then, no, we've talked about that bee. Okay. Next up, we have RC, arguably better than the first edition in some ways. I like the head sculpt more. She's got a better feminine form. She's got a better feminine form than the other RC as well. Her transformation is much more simple, but she does have a gigantic, not accurate gun. I don't know why she came with that, but it's quite cool.
This is for the RC that I have from Prime. And I always admired the fact that they just gave her a honking great gun, which, although she never had it in the show, it kind of fit the personality, I thought.
She does have the guns. They're just not this big.
Smaller.
Yeah, they're much smaller. This is like more than double the size. This is like 3 times the size of what the guns should be. But it's like, okay, why not?
Only one blade is a slight disappointment. It would have been nice to have 2, but overall, I quite like this figure. I was quite happy when because I think they retooled this into Generations Chromia.
They did a couple of them. We'll get to them. Yeah.
And I just always kind of dug it, to be honest.
What would you prefer, Big D? Would you prefer that she came with 2 guns or 2 blades? If you could only choose one. And they would be normal size. They wouldn't be these like way too big versions. They'd be proportionally accurate weapons. 2 blades or 2 swords.
You know what I'd take?
Hmm?
2 blades and 2 guns, but like a third the size each.
No, you can only choose 2 guns or 2 swords. That's it.
All right, 2 blades.
Okay, because this is Hasbro. I don't believe they'd give you 4 items. I don't believe it. I think a criticism maybe is I think she had quite a lot of top back kibble, like the wings going off behind her.
Yeah.
They're quite big.
But that's a fair thing. That's a fair criticism. But
I have both versions of this figure, and I do prefer this version of RC. I think it just looks cleaner. It's the one that I think just looks better and plays better.
Yeah. She actually can hold stuff in her hands, which the other one couldn't.
Yeah, that's true, because the other one had hands, but they weren't molded to hold anything.
Yeah.
Slightly weird.
And it's a little thing, but it does matter.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. And this was, as Big D said, reused a good few times. First one is Flare Up from 2014 for BotCon, which is just RC with a lemon gummy sweet face is the color I would say for it. So Starburst or Opal Fruit lemon flavor. And then the color scheme is orange and red, which is always a good color scheme. Not the version that I thought was the best for this, from this set.
No, but it works.
It's okay. I think the next one, the next one was better, which was Flame War, which was using the Beast Hunters RC mold, apparently. I thought it was just the same, but yeah, this was the Beast Hunters one. This is the one I really wanted to get. I like Flame War. I thought she was pretty cool in the comic. She's got fire on her titties, so that's always fun. She's got red highlights around the side of her face and the yellow pointy nose cone. The color scheme is just on point. I really like it.
I was so glad to see her get an update in was it Legacy?
I was, and then I saw what mold it was, and then I was annoyed.
I mean, I'm happy with it in hand. I never had any other version of it before, so it works. So,
in my eyes, this is still the better version. I still like this one a lot more visually because I don't have.
I can understand that. Yeah.
She has a quote unquote attack mode, but the Beast Hunters, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
She comes with the crossbow that the Beast Hunters one has as well. I think this looks great. I wish this was a lot more available, especially compared to the Beast Hunters RC, which is the same mold, but the colors are just lame. Unfortunately, the colors, who don't know, are blue, pearlescent blue for her boobs, a corally white, marbly kind of white for her shoulders and forearms. It's an odd
combination.
No, and the colors seem haphazardly placed everywhere on it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, this one, to be fair, because it's actually a really nice retool. But the colors they've gone for, they're just all over the place.
Are they trying to make it like the bike mode? Is the attempt to make it almost look like a fish?
I think like a flying fish.
Yeah.
I think I think that's the intent, but it's.
I think the bike mode looks a lot better than the robot mode. The robot mode looks incoherent. The bike mode looks like, there was something going on. Someone had an idea.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. The robot mode where it falls down, unfortunately. But the bike is a lot more successful. Robot mode.
Do you think the robot mode would have been better if they didn't have the blue head? If they'd kind of matched it with the pearlescent kind of color of her boobs? Because then it would have been more consistent? I don't know.
Maybe. I'm wondering how she would have looked if her, not just the head, but the arms and all the legs had that same color to make it look like she's more wearing armor.
What you mean the pearlescent shiny blue versus the dark blue?
That metallic, almost Grey Knight's blue. Gone for.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Get rid of the dark blue and replace it with that blue. Again, it would make it at least a bit more on the coherent side, I think. Yeah, that's a shame.
But like I say, also use it where they've got that weird pearlescent creamy plastic and the pinkish plastic as well. So just give for majority of that color.
Yeah,
that could work, I think. But
Excel Hedge says you were thinking of Prime Smokescreen. Okay. For the cage. Oh, for the cage thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I had that thing. That was weird. I might have lost that piece. I think I've got the figure, but I think I might have lost that part. XL Hedge says, Prime RC, I had to buy multiple times to give her... Oh, no. To give her 2 of each weapon. No.
All right, XL Hedge, we can have to have a conversation, because, dude...
We might do.
this is coming from me.
Yeah. Big D's got problems, but goddamn, my friend. So yeah, then there was the Chromia, which you mentioned, which was a really good redo actually of the mold. There was actually a decent amount of retooling in here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about the head sculpt. I think there's something just slightly weird about the face.
I think it's because they've gone for the light piping they were trying to go for on the eyes hasn't helped.
Maybe not.
It makes it quite dead-eyed.
I think it's I don't know. Maybe it's the sculpt of the nose and the mouth itself. There's something that's just not... You might be right. It might just be the light piping. There's something not quite right. They've sculpted extra bits on the shoulders. She's got extra stuff on her booty. Basically, because she's got this gigantic piece that'll just hang off her back, which... a bit awkward. But it's a very distinct, different-looking vehicle mode.
Yeah.
I wish the canopy section wasn't translucent white plastic, though.
Yeah,
I think that was a bad choice. I think...
Yeah, especially as in the comics they base the design on, it's almost always been illustrated as being like a red color,
and that would make sense, and I think that would look better. The red would match the other red parts on the figure and the bike mode, and it would also look cool to have the red going from the bike mode, that translucent peak that connects the main bike body to the wheel, and then you'd have that inner part of the wheel being red as well, which would look quite cool.
Yeah,
it's not bad. It's just... Like, why did you do it? Why translucent? it's weird.
Yeah, it's just not quite there.
No. Did she come with 2 guns or 1 gun? Because the comic cover that she came with has 2.
I think it's just for 1, unfortunately.
Lame. Don't have artwork. Because this was the Generations figure that came with the comics, right?
Yes. Yeah.
For reasons. Yeah, this should have had 2 guns then. This is a decent figure. They're, like I say, a really decent retool. Not my favorite. Flame Wars is still, I think, the best version. But this is a good redo, and it's not the thing I like about it. It's not lazy, right? They've done enough to change it to make you not go, oh, this is Prime RC. You go, oh yeah, this is a different looking character. Thankfully,
yeah,
absolutely. So next up, we have another Chromia.
Oh yes, the Beast Hunters.
Oh, yeah, this one came with Beast Hunters RC. Combiner Hunters. Yes, quite right.
Yeah.
Combiner Hunters RC. We're not going to be talking about her for a while. Man, she looked way better in the actual artwork than the figure. Look at that stupid smile. Talk about that bit later. And then the really flawed original Windblade toy. I'd say this was the best mold in that set.
I think so. Yeah.
So they've changed it to primarily white with metallic blue highlights and black around the face, so it looks like a war paint. Look what they've done, Big D. They've colored the canopy red, like they should have done the first time round. Yeah. And it looks way better. You can still see shit through it, but it looks way better red.
Yeah.
Way better.
They gave her a big-ass sword as well.
Yeah. Is this a sword that we've seen before? I want to say we've seen that sword in something before.
I remember because hang on, let me just have a quick.
It looks familiar to other sword designs I've seen. You know.
That was it, because the RC figure came with one of the swords. I think Beast Hunter's Optimus Prime had.
No, it was the Predaking. Predaking had that
Was
weapon.
it Predaking?
Yes, I think so.
Hmm.
Oh, it might not be. I don't know now.
No.
Either way.
So I've got Predaking, and I don't think he had that sword. But I could be wrong.
The big cleaver weapon.
We'll find out eventually, because we're going to get there.
Eventually, yeah. It's the orc weapon, the one that looks like a giant orc blade, either way.
But I think the other two weapons were both original to the set.
Yeah, because
I think they based Chromia's sword on the top, because she has a spear and shield in the comic.
That's right.
Because she doesn't use guns. And I think her spear, the top of the spear is basically how they designed the sword.
Yeah, they look similar.
Yes.
The spear looks like it's probably not translucent, floppy plastic, to be fair. I don't know about the sword, but the sword has a nice design to it, and at least you can dual wield. So yeah, this is a pretty. Is this the better version of the Chromia, or do you like the normal Chromia more?
I think I prefer the normal version. Just this one has the red that translucent I prefer, and it's a nice variant, but it's not for one I'd use as Chromia in my collection if I had it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I think that's a fair shout. We're on to Starscream now, the Voyager Starscream, which I don't have because I had the deluxe version, so I didn't bother getting this. So, what did you have this one, Big D?
I didn't. It's one of the annoying things that I managed to end up missing out on Prime's Starscream in its entirety.
Oh,
which annoys me because I actually liked how all of them looked, and I'd have liked to have had at least one of them in my collection. But this one, the main issue though, is it's got that bloody automorph weapon again, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he has translucent forearms that are purple for some reason, which I'm not quite sure why. Weird. And again, his little forehead thing isn't painted for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Now it's not floppy plastic, so that's a benefit, but it's still not red. I don't know why. It's like that's
weird.
It's a main feature. I'd say the jet mode is about as successful as the deluxe one. You can just see how good the deluxe one is when you look at this at like a bigger budget. But this one seems okay. It doesn't look like it's bad. Apart from
I will give this. Both versions of Starscream, they managed to do something very difficult, and that's replicate. Because he's based on the F-16 fighter, which is a very distinctive, very slim,
super slim.
Yeah, for its type of jet, and as we've seen many times, Transformers have always struggled to not make a jet look like it's got a robot hanging off the bottom of it. This one still does, but they've done a much better job because of how they've kind of integrated the body into the jet mode itself. I mean, you can tell that they've used parts of his. You can see where his chest sits on the top of the jet, effectively. But it comes together, and it's a lot slimmer than most jet formers end up looking.
Yeah.
And even if it's not 100% successful, you can kind of respect the attempt and the amount of engineering they had to do to make it do that in the first place.
And it's not an obvious downgrade like the Optimus Prime was, or the Bulkhead is, which we're going to be talking about soon. It's
much more of a side grade, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, it's bigger, so a lot of people will like it on that fact alone, which is fair enough. But you look at this one, and it's not obvious that this one's like, oh, this is the worst version, or the downgrade. You go, oh no, okay, fair enough. XLH says, no, Andy, that was PH Prime's sword. Most of Predaking's swords were made from his tail. Oh, okay. So it was. I think you were right. It was a Optimus Prime, a Beast Hunter's one. Big deal. Yeah. So this figure got redone. This figure didn't get redone. Because the Beast Hunter Starscream was a new mold, so we can't talk about that one. Never mind. It says remold on the bottom, and it's not, because that Beast Hunter Starscream is clearly not the same figure and was a fucking deluxe. Come on, website. Or whoever did this up. So our last one for the night is Bulkhead. Ooh. This one's a downgrade again, clearly.
Yeah.
As he's massively off model. However, this version of Bulkhead looks closer to, not 100%, but this one looks closer, I would say, to the Legacy version.
Yeah.
Not 100%, but closer to the Legacy than the first edition, at least. He also comes with a shitty automorph weapon. This time it's for his Wrecking Ball. He also has a gun, apparently, which doesn't look like... Doesn't look
I
like
always thought it was like a jackhammer or something.
Yeah, it looks like a pile driver to me. They've listed it as a gun, though. It looks like Rumble's thing.
That's not a gun barrel. That's a meat tenderizer.
Yeah.
This is probably in his artisan chef face.
Ooh, lovely bit of meat. Oh, he's got gorilla arms as well. Oh, it looks like he's got gorilla arms. Unless you can turn them round. No, he's got gorilla arms, unless he's got wrist joints. Oh, no. Or those forearms rotate. Maybe the forearms rotate?
Yeah, but that doesn't do much for a bicep, so because they're still.
No. If the forearms rotate, you can rotate the whole forearms round to the right angle, right?
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then he doesn't have gorilla arms. If his forearms don't rotate, then he does have gorilla arms, and that's a bad thing, obviously. I don't think the face sculpt's bad. The face sculpt's fine. It's just this isn't Prime Bulkhead in robot mode. The vehicle mode is on point. I've got no issue with the vehicle mode. That looks right. It's just the robot mode. You look at it and you're like, it's so different. The things that for the robot mode, they're on point. The head and the legs, I'd say the legs and thighs look fine. The entire torso and arms are just wrong. Everything's wrong about them.
Yeah.
Everything.
Can't argue with that. It's a shame as well that that's the real shame about so much of this, especially this bit of the line, this first year post first edition release, is that these were, and honestly for most of the line, these were the only versions that were easily accessible.
Yeah.
Certainly here in UK and Europe. And some of the first editions were on the shelves for a particularly long time anyway. They were not so much a flash release, but they were a very brief availability window.
They were super limited, yeah. They went quick.
Yeah, because people could see how good they looked. And then these were what was on the shelves, and it's just like,
oh no.
Yeah. And it's a shame, because so many of these, if they didn't have those stupid gimmicks and weapons, that budget could have been spent on making the figure.
Yeah, because there's quite a lot of parts for the automated stuff, really, because you've got to have multiple gears and multiple parts to allow it to form different weapons. So yeah, it is. You're right. It is a decent budget.
The Voyager ones are all battery powered as well, so that's more stuff they got to fit in there, because they all had the Voyagers all had a light effect.
Did they?
In the weapon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Megatron. Yeah. Sorry, you meant the weapons had it. I thought you meant the robots had it. No, that's my bad.
Yeah, sorry, the weapon. Yeah.
I got confused. I was like, what the fuck? No, you're quite right.
If they didn't have the Automorph gimmick, which was a fad Hasbro, really took a while to get shot.
Oh yeah, so long.
That did so. Don't get me wrong. I get the idea, and it's cute, but so many figures were harmed by it, because you have to try and cram in more engineering, and that could go on making the figure better, or more paint. It's all bits of a budget that have to be spent on something that's not really. You're trying to make it a selling point, but it's a selling point that's undermining the figure itself, and it's just a shame.
It is. I mean, I think as we've gone through this wave of like first edition to RID, there have been some wins. I think the Prime mold was saved when it was made into Ultra Magnus by the end, because otherwise,
absolutely,
that's a downgrade. The RC mold, clearly a winner. It was just good. The Viacon, a winner. Bumblebee, not really saved, but kind of made better by Beast Hunters. Cliff Jumper, not good. Didn't get saved. Just kind of left to rot. Megatron kind of saved in a bizarre, weird way with its fish mode for, again, Beast Hunters. It felt like a lot of the at least some of the bad ones were helped for Beast Hunters. I wonder if they could have done the same here for Bulkhead. I know they did a new mold for Bulkhead for the deluxe version, but I wonder if they could have done something with the Voyager for Beast Hunters to make it into something more interesting, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder. Maybe not. Maybe it was just screwed. Maybe they just looked at the mold and went, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
It certainly doesn't help that this one and Hasbro were kind of throwing money at the hub, and Prime was kind of in a weird spot.
I'm sure Prime has eaten a lot of money as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Expensive show, I'm sure.
Which impacted the toy line, because we got a decent chunk, but not as much as you'd think.
No.
Prime. And some of them, were...
Some of them didn't come out till late.
Yes.
And then we never got Breakdown.
Hmm.
Japan got Breakdown.
Yeah.
Well, for many years. Obviously, you got them years later. But we can get onto that next time, I think. I think we've nearly talked 3 hours on this, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. 3 hours. Who knew?
Wind us up and let us go.
Yeah, people. Where could find you? Wow, that was a sentence. Where can people find you on the internet, Big D, if you want them to find you?
I am everywhere as David Kelly with this icon or cup. I'm also a contributor to the UKAnime.net. Our good friend Gruff has groped me into being his...
Did you say groped?
Gruff.
I thought he said he groped you.
He's roped.
Oh, roped.
No, he's roped me into being his assistant on the deeper dives, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, to be honest. It's great fun. And myself and Mr. White do Fluff and Busters, and we should hopefully have a new recording in the can in the coming week.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's me and yourself.
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Decayed Andy, on Flesh of a Human Being, not 10-year period. You can find us on the Moonbase 2 forums, Twitter, iTunes, Libsyn, Facebook as Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. We're also on the ccbunker.weebly.com. We'll be back next week at 9:30ish in the evening time, UK time, if you want to come by for a live show and join the audience in those places. It might be a new show, it might be continuing Prime. It all depends on what happens this week, I suppose.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, it could be interesting.
But I'm going to end the show. I'm probably going to have a late night slice of toast. Maybe. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. It is like nearly 12:30. I don't think I should. I keep thinking like Marmite toast would be quite nice. I'm like, No, I'll say no. It's 12:30. That's not a good habit to get into. I'll say no. No to that. But thank you, Big D, for joining me. Thank you.
No worries. Absolute pleasure as ever.
And thank you, lads, for coming. Mr. White says late toast won't kill you. It might. If I die because I had toast, I don't want you to have that guilt on your head, Mr. White. I don't. But we'll catch you next week, and we'll see you guys next time.